looking for our intro.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We're broadcasting live here in the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, and 105.3 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning. So thank you, Folgers. We appreciate you so much, and we could not do it without you. Also, a huge thank you to our other sponsor, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, who is responsible for our intro and outro with the contribution of his time, his voice, and his music. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the man, the artist who is responsible for a lot of our artwork. So we are very grateful for him and we love it. So thank you very much, Steve McGinnis. Check him out on Instagram and Facebook. Does a lot of commission pieces and a lot of just grab and go pieces. Just phenomenal stuff. Tonight, of course, we welcome back our boss, I guess, a friend, fellow radio network host. Yeah, it's just,
all of the above.
I know, Mr. Joe Montaldo. He hasn't been on in about a year. And I think last year was on in and around this time too, which is like quite funny. But we're happy to welcome him back. And we're going to be, we thought what would be fun to do is like a sort of Q&A, but all of ET and UFO and that sort of thing related. And then we just kind of wait and see where everything else goes. But hopefully, I mean, he's not here yet. So hopefully he'll be coming on soon. Been one of those days. Me hunting for the intro was just part of one of those days.
That's the easy part. And Michelle's sick.
I am.
You were on mic the whole time you were hacking.
I know. I'm just going to have a little bit of a throat lozenge right now. So I'm just like stuck on that for a while. So
hi, Dolly. Hacking. Hi, Kira. Hi, Zach. Hi, Jamie. Oh, my poor Michelle.
I know I'm dying.
Do you want some chicken soup?
Okay.
Just filter that. Drop it off.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh. Been unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. But anyway, we were just talking about how today was like kind of like a day from hell. Dolly, was there any solar flares going on today? You keep
that's a good question because Michelle had technical issues. I had issues on the phone with 3 different companies. So it's like, and it wasn't my phone. So one was a switchboard. They kept looping me back. I would get to where I needed to be with Shoppers Drug Mart, and they kept looping me back to the main switchboard. And I'm like, all the announcements of, the bugs that are going around right now and the shots. And I had to listen to that before I could touch. See, that makes sense. She said last week and some today. That makes total sense because it was the afternoon from hell for me today.
Started yesterday for me and full on today with technical issues. And I'm just about, I got so close. Just like,
hi, Tamara. Maybe you're closer to the flares than I am. I didn't experience anything till today, but
it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I sent a package, as you know, to Hamilton White in the UK, and their customs in England has been holding his package since November 8th. There's chocolate in it. It's like, really?
Maybe they discovered the chocolate.
So I messaged him. I said, I had to open an investigation. I was online with them for almost an hour. I'm like, I had to open an investigation and I couldn't get anywhere with the stupid chat assistant and then had to go through the line and then back to the chat assistant. And he said, they pick and choose what they hold and it could take weeks. I said, well, funny thing is the investigation is open until February 10th. Like, what?
That's great.
Yeah, chocolate. A friend of my daughter's is a chocolatier and she makes everything by hand. So she has a little shop here and I picked out some really, really good yummies for him to send over because how can you have to find exquisite chocolate when you're sending it to the UK because remember they have Cadbury.
They have exquisite chocolate.
They
do.
do.
Bit of a side note, Joe's running 20 minutes late. There's a wreck right off the interstate where he's sitting trying to work his way over there. So apparently law enforcement says they should be moving soon, but he is running a bit behind. So I say,
this day's not over.
Just let the party begin. I know, right? Let's just go.
Wow.
Okay, do you have any ranting aside from the day? Do you have any ranting, with like paranormal stuff? And I'll start. Only
Please
because
do.
of the type of day that I had. Where the network is doing this new thing where we are looking to bring on different radio shows. We are expanding, and we're going to be expanding a little bit into a whole daytime lineup, but that's starting in January, technically, unless somebody's really enthusiastic and wants to start right away. I've already got a couple of amazing people lined up for the daytime. But we've moved some things around because we have some shows that are gone, and we are now restructuring. Some of your favorite shows out there are going to get moved a little bit. And so we've got some spots open. So Amelia recommends somebody like really amazing. I'm like, perfect.
No, thank you. I hope it works out. He was under the impression we were doing it together. I go, no, this one's all yours. Because we do a similar thing. And a lot of you know who he is. So let's cross our fingers that it works out for both ways.
Well, I don't know because he hasn't received any emails due to technical difficulties or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just something to keep in mind for people who are out there, and we obviously need to know, what your following is like, what your shows are like, and if you have YouTube, if you're well received. Anybody who doesn't really have an established podcast already, at that point, we may have to start you off in something not prime time, like more along daytime, let you build up a good rapport. And yes, Tamara, he would be really awesome. Dave would be great. He's going to come on and be a guest in the show, I think in January. So you never know. He may obviously work out really well and maybe for the daytime stuff because it's going to be just for different types of topics and things of that nature. It's not all going to be UFOs and and paranormal, and even though we welcome it because this network just thrives on that sort of thing. But anyway, guest of honor has made it. Hey, Adriana.
I would do a cooking show if I had time, but I don't.
A cooking show.
Because during the day, while I'm making dinner, I could just...
I know. Just here we are. That's what I'm doing today. There we go.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Yeah. You ready down there, fearless leader? Yeah. Just nod. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Bam. Hello. Got no sound? See? Same
That's
kind
because
of
you rushed in.
It might help if I turn the microphone on usually. Usually it helps a little bit, sometimes.
The man who needs no intro.
I wasn't sure. Hey, Tim, I wasn't sure. I mean, there was a bad wreck on traffic. And then, as I'm getting closer to home, freaking trigeminal nerve kicks off the side of the face. Says, oh, come on, I'm getting ready to be live. It can't. But it quit, so we ain't going to worry about it. Oh, man, it's December 21st. Hopefully they'll figure something out.
Wow.
But the sad part is it's only about 3 weeks every 18 months. But, man, those 3 weeks are horrible. It's not something I don't wish this on anyone, people. Hello, Melissa. I gotta be honest, I don't wish this on anybody. Even my enemies don't deserve this kind of pain. That's because I was bad in my last life, Dolly. That's what it was.
That's just all karmic. I'm sure of
I
it.
was throwing bitches off the roofs and stuff into the moats, feeding them to the alligators. You name it. I was just being
He
bad.
still tries to feed people into the alligators just up
I
in the
do too.
bayou.
I can't.
Yeah, but I keep swimming back.
I keep swimming back. It's something I can't seem to get past. Maybe next life. Who knows? Maybe I'll go to an alternate universe or something.
Joe, I'm going to audition for a cooking show.
There we go.
Mhm.
You didn't hear me.
That stupid Axeman show, they tried to get us to come on that, and then they had called me, they interviewed my grandchildren and my son and a bunch of people in the family. They wanted to do this series, and when I heard what it was about, I said, I could use the language on the air, but still, they just wanted to. Well, it was ufology rated, but they just were looking to make a joke out of everybody.
Oh, no. That's not nice.
Yeah,
That's so disrespectful.
Television is tough. You don't have creative control.
No, you don't.
Sort of just
But when you're mocking people, that's like the jackass of TV.
Well, it's like this new series we're talking about, this abduction series. Okay, so I was supposed to be going out there to meet with them. Now it sounds like they're coming down to New Orleans because they want to do a film shot in a particular house in New Orleans, and they want to do it in the Honey Island Swamp, which is fine by me.
Oh, cool.
And they've paid me for all my time so far. Okay, so I think I've got was 2 checks. I think it's 3 checks. It's probably around $6,000 now. So I'm not complaining, and they do take up a lot of my time, and we have pretty much worked out the salary deal. If it comes through, it's going to be 28 episodes, all shot in a row, and they're going to be put 14 each year. And all it really is a reenactment of alien abductions. Is what it really is. And but we have sticky points. Some of the stuff, like remember the hypnosis session we just did. So they would like to take something like that and then go through it and pick and choose what they want to reenact. Well, no, that's not going to work for me because you could probably pick and choose some shit that's going to aggravate the crap out of me.
Well, it's edited to the point where it doesn't make any sense anymore, right?
Yeah,
and you need permission from these people who are involved.
They do, and every contact. That's one of the first things we discussed. I said, look, if I bring these people on board, you're gonna have to pay them. And I said, and they're going to be very picky about what they're going to let you use and what they're not. But we need creative license. I said, no, that's not going to happen. I said, because you can't be trusted. I said, if you could be trusted, it would be a different thing. I said, we don't know who you are. We don't know what you want to make. I said, I trust you in doing a good reenactment. I said, I've seen some of the series you made. They're pretty good. I said, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to go off some tantrum trying to get your ratings up. Or get more subscribers, because that's what they're after. It's not about ratings with Netflix and Hulu and all them. It's about how many clicks they get.
Of course.
And so, I mean, I'm sure we'll work some. This is not, and by the way, ladies, this is not the first time I've been offered a series like this. I've actually turned down 4 prior to this, and a couple of other series dealing with paranormal. I had History Channel approach me about putting together a paranormal team in Louisiana. I said, it's not what I do. And they wanted to pay me good money. I'm like, it's not what I do. I said, it's not going to be credible.
It's about having integrity, right?
It is, and he's going on and on about, well, no, but you're very credible. I said, yeah, I'm very credible in my field. I don't chase ghosties. I said, I usually laugh at ghosties. I said, I can't. And I said, I'm gonna have a hard time. I said, besides,
what ghosties?
So you know what I told him?
Dimensional bleed
That's what I told him. I said, besides, every ghostie to me is dimensional bleed through. And he looked at me like,
he doesn't believe in it, right? So
he looks at me like with this face like dimensional bleed through. I said, yeah, that's a ghosties. I said, pretty much wraps up that series.
Yeah, segment 1.
He was not. Let me just say, he was not happy with my response.
Yeah.
But I really, if I'm gonna do a series, it's gonna be my way, or we're just not gonna. There's lots of people out there that'll do crazy shit. More power to them. But it's not. When I'm speaking, I'm not just speaking for myself. I'm speaking for the station. I'm speaking for the organization. I'm speaking for my business partners in New Orleans. It's not. It's just too many people involved, and I want it to look good. I want it to represent what actually was said. I mean, look, let's be honest. Some of these cases are freaking crazy and scary enough. You don't need to add to them. I mean, and if they're looking for just really scary cases, I'll hook them up with some of the reptilian rape cases or some of the human rape cases. They're unbelievably scary if that's what they're looking for. And I'm sure it'll get them lots of clicks, and it'll still be a true story. And that's the only way they can ever get what they're looking for. Because when we talk about the grays and the humans, it's just, I mean, it's not that there's not crazy contacts there is, but not to the point that they want to make.
Always? Let's say
why can't it be the good stuff?
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, okay, because we're going to get into people just line up with your comments and questions. Feel free. Why, like on a scale of 1 to 10 with iCar, and you can explain to everybody what iCar is so they understand and they can go
It's
check
a
out your
better
your
MUFON.
website. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how many are good? How many are bad? With your people who have come to you. I'm not asking you to just to give a statistic without knowing.
So most
your
cases are what I would consider neutral, meaning that they're not bad or good. They're just an experience. And so sometimes, like, let's say here's just a typical one. So they come by, they pick it. Well, you know they're coming. If you're more than an abductee, if you're a contactee, you're on your way to being you can feel and sense them. So you know they're coming. You're already antsy. You're moving around your house. You're kind of like, oh no, or you're trying to lay down and go to bed so you can forget about it. So you know those. But when they come and take you, it's usually a walkthrough. They may bring you a small ship. They may bring you a big ship. They may be showing you a lot of stuff, but it's not a negative experience, but it's not exactly a positive experience. It's just like a day of life. It's like going to your job, you know, and doing your job and coming home. And you didn't have a good day. You didn't have a bad day. You just had a day. Well, a lot of experiences are like that. They're just that. And don't get me wrong, there's a share of the bad ones and the good ones. But I got to say, over the years, in the very beginning, it was almost always bad experiences. I mean, far more than there was good ones. But over the years, that seemed to change. We've seen to have other ones, but then you've got to watch
the service that you're getting right now.
Yes,
sorry,
like this.
Can we have one?
Things coming at you. I'm like, where's mine?
I need
Can
my
we
coffee,
have one,
people.
please, Miss Linda? Can we have one?
Yeah. What about
She can't hear y'all. She's out of here anyway. She's
what
like,
kind of coffee are you drinking, Joe?
I am drinking Folgers Black Silk.
That's right.
Very good, Joe.
I'm
great,
actually
Joe.
on the show that's sponsored by Folgers. I always drink Folgers anyway, but I'm drinking Folgers Black Silk. Very good with Carnation Ice Cream Creamer.
I'm sorry, they're a sponsor?
I'm sorry, Carnation?
Carnation sponsors
they're
me.
going to be a sponsor.
We're hoping they're going to be a sponsor. Ladies and
okay.
gentlemen, Carnation does not sponsor the show. It does sponsor other shows on the network.
It sponsors
Should be
Joe, but we'd
sponsoring
love you, Carnation.
no,
we think
Coca-Cola
you go
sponsors
great
me.
together with Folgers.
Coca-Cola and the lightsaber guy sponsors me.
We said no.
Because
'Cause
Coke
we
was
love
giving y'all a bad
Folgers.
deal. That's why. And,
We said no to Coke. Yeah, believe that.
yes,
Seriously,
ladies and gentlemen,
we're not lying.
Yes, no, they were offered
Yeah.
a sponsorship, but Coca-Cola was not offering a deal worthy of this particular show. Maybe
Thank
some
you.
of the smaller shows in the network, but not this particular show. And
Thank
we're picky about this. So all of us have careers and we all have our own personal money. So it's not as important to us as it is to other people to get sponsored. We like it and we like free money. I'm not going to lie, but we can have a little bit more integrity in who we're going to pick and choose as our sponsors. Where
And we're very happy with Folgers and very possessive of Folgers.
Yes,
So.
and you know, a lot of radio networks just put whatever crap they can put on there and make you listen to it. And I called in, to matter of fact, to a show this morning on the Black Information Network. This was the stupidest, most moronic commercial I've ever heard. I can't mention it on here but I was like, really? Did you put that on your network? I said, I'm never listening to this network again. I said, what kind of crap? I said, do you have any integrity? I mean, what in the hell is this? And the poor host is like, Mister, I didn't put this on there. This is, you know, the producer did this. I said, well, give me your freaking producer. Let me talk to him.
Wow.
He's like, really?
Teach him a thing or two.
So the producer, you hear the producer click in. He's like, well, what's the problem? I said, you're going to lose people with this commercial on here. It's just a really stupid commercial. I'm not going to bring it because it's very controversial and
but
it's disgusting.
How many hosts do you know who buy mugs?
By the way, you are the only host in this network that gets Folgers. They don't sponsor anybody else but y'all.
Thank you. And we also have our guests do commercials.
We do, and we send out Folgers cups to certain guests.
Yes, she did.
And that was funny because I was telling Michelle about something.
It was a crazy send off. So
yeah. Just, you know.
Dolly, you want me to close your brain so don't keep spilling out, baby?
Just people are becoming more aware as to what you were talking about before with alien contact and that sort of thing.
And
so
people are becoming more aware. But so for me, this is how I look at the cases. Really, if it's really, really impossibly bad, sometimes I kind of take it with a grain of salt. If it's just overflowingly way too good, I also take it with a grain of salt. One, because we're humans, we have to look at things from our point of view. It's hard for us to even imagine extraterrestrials, much less think of the universe the way they do. I mean, they're just so much more advanced than us. It's just they think about things in a different way. And they think about things like most humans think about now to their death. Okay. 40, 50, 60, 100 years if you're really lucky. They're thinking of things 5 million, 8 million, 10 million years ahead. So it's a whole different way they look at the universe. So they're concerned about the immediate future, but they also have a good idea how the immediate future is going to play out, which allows them to make adjustments for the future, not just in our lives, but in theirs and other races as well. Because they're all about keeping the peace. At least the Greys are. They're all about keeping the peace. They don't. From what I understand, from what I've been told over the years from many, many different contactees, that at one time, a long, long, long time ago, this universe was in a nasty, blazing war across the entire universe. I mean, across our entire universe, or our entire galaxy. I'm sorry, across our entire galaxy, and it had been raging, from what they say, for at least 5,000 years or more. So there was lots of people dying, lots of planets getting destroyed, lots of things going on, which would explain a few things. And then out of nowhere, this group of beings from a different galaxy, a galaxy that had died, came here. When they originally looked at this galaxy, they thought it was a peaceful, enlightened galaxy. When they got here, of course, they found chaos. So they were on the way on the other side of the galaxy from us. They found a race that we all call the Greys, which is not their real name. And some contactees actually do know the real name, but trying to say it in English is a waste of time. But they found this race, and it was a very advanced race, almost a billion-year-old race, but not near as advanced as they are today. They took this race and they enhanced this race in many ways, in longevity and technology, and basically made them the galactic police force. And they went around stopping the wars and put an end to it. And eventually they created the council world, the water world with all the council peoples on it. And then they started going around and trying to prevent this in the future. So, they found the humans here. The reptilians were already, humans and reptilians were about to get into it on this planet probably about 200,000 years ago or less. They sent the Greys, and the Greys intervened, and therefore there was no war. And everybody always used to tell me, oh, the Greys work for the reptilians. No, they don't. They don't work for the light beings. Well, they work for the light beings, but they don't work for the humans either. Matter of fact, the Greys, the reptilians and humans are scared of the Greys. They fear them. And I can understand why, because a human alien's head is about this big. Reptilian's head's about that big too. Freaking Grey's head is this wide and this tall. It's like massive. It's 4 times the size of a reptilian. It's probably 6 times the size of ours. So the amount of power they have in that brain is well beyond anything anybody else is going to mess with. So yes, they don't mess with them because they just think of them. You're going to die, you die. That's the end of that.
It's kind of like an octopus.
That's why they a lot of times people always think they put the wand puts them to sleep. That's not what the wand is for. They put you to sleep by thinking to you. That's how they put you to sleep. They put it in your head. They just put it in your head, sleep, and you go to sleep. They can also do that with pain. They can say no pain, and it just cuts the pain out of your brain. They're really good at that kind of stuff. But the wand is actually for something else.
What's it for?
It's usually used to find human tracking devices.
I want a wand.
How do I get a tracking device? You beep all the time on my phone, man. It's like beep, Amelia, beep, Amelia. God damn, what kind of tracking device this girl got?
Let's try to get to.
Oh, it's a TikTok tracking device. Okay, I got it now.
Oh, right. Okay, Tamara.
I haven't watched it in a week, but whatever.
Hey,
Tamara's asking you, Joe, are we the last planet they are trying to clean up? That's a great question.
Actually, we're not. Come to find out. So this is weird. I'm glad you asked that, Tamara, because it's a good question. So people had me investigating the black-eyed children. They were driving me batshit crazy with the black-eyed children. Oh, they're demons. They're this, they're that, they're this. I said, well, I have no idea what they are. I said, I know. It's funny to me when I started talking to witnesses, a lot of the witnesses were contactees. And well, wait a minute now. And it's not that we don't find paranormal events sometimes with extraterrestrial events. It's just sometimes it's mislabeled, like ghosties and stuff like that. A lot of times, or poltergeists. Yeah, there's poltergeists with extraterrestrial contact, just like the ones you've seen in Close Encounters. The magnetic field trips it and makes them start doing weird stuff and acting weird. So anyway, getting back to the black-eyed children, I started asking all these different contactees about it. So I programmed about 30 contactees, and I said, just tell me what you see. So they went on board the ships like they always do, their regular classes, the regular things they take them to. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I started getting phone calls. Oh, Joe, they're us. I'm like, what do you mean they're us? Oh, no, they're us. They're the same technological level, basically the same being. They're from a different world. Exactly what's happening here is happening there. Exactly. And they're involved in the same way we are. They have keepers and communicators and stuff like that. So it's almost like our sister planet or our brother planet, however you want to look at it. But they're on the same technological level as we are, the same mental levels we are, same belief levels we are. And so they're involved with the grays on the same levels that we are. That's why we see them so many times. That's why we see them in places like on the foot of beds, in the corner of rooms and stuff like that, because they're there with the contactees. So, and now people, before you start writing to me, I'm not saying that some black-eyed things are not demons or ghosties or something else, because I can't tell you what everyone is, but I can tell you what this particular group is. Many, many people have drawn these pictures. They're usually they're probably around 6 foot tall. They have deep. Their eyes are the same size as eyes, the same shape as eyes, or even set like eyes, or they're just deep. They're like, you ever seen my puppy Lola? Her black eyes are like that. Lola's got the deepest, blackest eyes I've ever seen. Matter of fact, they're creepy black eyes almost. Well, that's how these particular races. It's just the color of their eyes. It's the way it's set. There is no white in their eye. It's just black, but they
Yeah.
are just us. I mean, I don't mean they're related to us. I mean, they're just us in the same space and time, the same evolution. So when they go on board the big ships, not the little ships, so you got a couple of ships involved here. You have like cargo ships and transports and stuff like that that run back and forth. You have larger saucers that stay near the planet, but they're more for protection of different things. And then you have these massive ships. Now, NASA's got these on pictures a couple of times coming through a portal near the sun. First, they tried to say it was a flare. Okay, it was a flare. So they showed one in this weird black dot. And then 2 days later, there was two. Then 3 days later, there was three. And 4 days later, there was four. Really? This thing is flaring out in four different ways? Well, the camera's not designed to even do that. Even broke, the camera wouldn't make these four square boxes. They look like board cubes is what they look like. So that was interesting. So one of our probes, I forgot which one it was, going past Jupiter, got a picture of another one out by Jupiter, but it wasn't square, it was round, but it was huge, probably the size of our moon or bigger. So it always cracks me up when I listen to these like Captain Naribu, people who are saying the 10th planet's coming back around. Well, the 10th planet is probably an alien spaceship. It's probably what the hell it is, because any planet's 5 times the size of Earth that even got close to us would crush us. We would be dead. There would be no planet left. We would break up into little tiny little pieces, and that would be the end of humanity.
But how many of these saucers out there are these crafts are reverse engineered, like ours, like human?
What do you mean reverse engineering?
Like reverse engineered crafts that we're seeing up there.
Oh, you mean, they're ours? None of them are
yeah,
ours.
ours. How many are being seen in the skies right now?
There's lots of drones that look like stuff from aliens, but it's ours. But it's not reverse engineered. It's just regular old technology. The only thing I know for sure that we've reverse engineered was aircraft aluminum, fiber optics, and microchips. And the only reason I say that is in the Roswell Journal way back 60 years ago, 70 years ago, however long this was, there was a picture a reporter took of 3 objects that Mac Brazel had found on the ranch, and he had put them in a line, and that's what they look like. They look like a microchip, they look like fiber optics, and they look like aircraft aluminum, which is probably what they were. Well, at that particular time, none of these things existed. They weren't even being thought of yet. It wasn't until I think 20 or 25 years later that the microchip even came out, and fiber optics was either another 20 years after that. So these are things we probably recovered from whatever this craft was. A crash. It was probably a scout ship or something, or maybe an escape pod of some kind, because it broke up on impact. So ladies and gentlemen, no ship that can traverse interstellar space is going to break up on impact. It'll either disintegrate or it'll just embed itself. Because things that can fly faster than light and that can absorb things like micrometeorites and chunks of rock through space are not going to break up an impact. Because one of our craft right now, if we were to say, even one of Elon Musk's craft, if we were to zip it even half light speed in a micrometeorite, I'm talking something 0.5 millimeters was to hit it, it would rip it in half that quick. It would just turn it to dust. And we're talking something you can't even see with the naked eye. So if you got craft that are going through wormholes or going through deep space at speeds like this, they have to be designed to take large amounts of gravity, high radiation fields, and micrometeorites or anything that could hit the hull and destroy it. So pretty much knowing that, it's not going to impact. Our ships are riveted. They're not one piece. When you hear someone describe an alien craft, it's one piece. There's no rivets on it. It's almost like it was molded, and it comes out in one piece. So whatever this is extremely strong material. I don't even think it's a metal, and it's not going to break up on impact. And pretty sure that the ship we're talking about came from Germany. I believe the Chancellor of Germany in 1909 or 1908 recovered this craft. We don't know how he got his hands on it, but we do know from 1913 to 1916, the Germans, and this is World War I, were building flying saucers. Now, I mean, this is Germany in World War I. I mean, we hadn't even started rocketry yet. And these guys are over here, everything they designed from weird looking tanks to weird looking planes were built like saucers. So he probably recovered this craft. Hitler probably got his hands on it in the research in World War II. It would explain why they were 30 years ahead of the United States in everything. If it wouldn't have been for the fact that the U.S. could just mass produce, we'd have lost this war. If Hitler would have had time enough to finish his jets and his nukes, we'd have lost this war. We'd all be speaking German today. He was that close to winning the war. I mean, he'd already started putting jets in the air that were dominating. The few he had in the air, when they would approach a squadron, they'd wipe the whole squadron out. So if he would have been able to field 300 or 400 of them, Britain would have went down. He'd have put a nuke on London. England would have surrendered. He'd have nuked New York. The United States would have surrendered, and that would have been the end of that.
I'm going to just get to a couple of comments. Dolly's got a couple of comments, and then we'll get to a question. Right.
Dolly says they have two fields of graviton, wave shielding. The ship can break up. If they lose their field, they are vulnerable.
Yeah, well, and it would depend which craft it is, because the Grays crafts are organic. So what they do, if they're going to impact something, they harden. So if you touch a Gray's craft, it's like touching suede almost. You can feel it move underneath your hand. You
the
can
craft
feel it,
or them?
The craft.
Okay.
The craft is alive just like they are.
Yeah.
So when you touch it, you can tell it's alive. You can feel it. It gives off heat. You can feel its sensation. It responds to your hand's touch. It's like if you ever touch a horse and he whinnies and he shifts all his skin up, it kind of feels like that. And it's kind of weird, but it's how their ships are designed, because the Grays can actually meld with their craft. And when you go inside a Gray ship, a lot of times you don't see anything, because all the instruments, when a Gray thinks of an instrument, it's made by the ship, and then it's either handed to them through something, or something will come out the wall and bring it down.
The ship is biological.
Okay, next.
Oh my god. Okay.
What do you know about?
I'm still shocked on that. Tamara asks, where does the Black Knight satellite come from, and what race owns it, and what does it do? So 3 questions.
If it's what we think it is, it's a race that's not near as advanced as the reptilians, humans, or Grays. It was somebody came here and looked at this planet and parked it there to watch our evolution, more than likely, because it hasn't interfered that we know of. It can't be moved. I know a couple of generals in the service, and just recently I was talking to one of the guys with Space Command, and he was talking about it with me. He goes, "You've heard of it?" But I said, "I've pretty well researched into it." I said, I've talked to a couple of astronauts, I've talked to a couple of colonels and stuff. I said, no one can figure out where it came from. So what bothers them is it in a way, it looks like our technology today, or it's not even our technology today, but our technology we put on television today. Our sci-fi, but humans are using sci-fi. It's like that. So a lot of these scientists think it's ours from the future, and we parked it there to monitor how things are going. But the aliens don't agree with that. For some reason, the Grays haven't removed it, but they don't agree with it. They don't think it's ours. They think it's somebody else's. So, and there's a lot of different aspects on who it could be, why they parked it there. What's it doing? And from the way it sits in its orbit and where it's sitting, it really has been there for a long, long time, because now it has debris fields around it. So we know it's been there for probably more than 10,000 years, give or take a day or two. But everyone argues about who it could be coming from. The Grays just don't seem to even want to talk about it. They just kind of ignore it. And it's like, well, if they show up, we will question them. It's like, okay, we will question them.
Yes, Kira, I'm okay every now and then.
But you know why they think it's ours, right? Because
she's sick. Yeah.
It has I wouldn't call them rivets, but it's got buttons on it. It's not like the Grays, reptilians, or humans craft where they're molded and made out of a single piece. This looks like something that was put together. Something it's way more advanced than we have, but still along a similar technology that we have.
Dolly should be auditioning for a show.
I know. We'll bring her on for a Q&A as well.
Put her on, my
I know.
God.
Yeah,
But
watching our
there's
solar system
it's
and
not
our
the only
stars.
thing we found just recently. We found some other things, and no one can explain the Pravda map. The Pravda map is a significant map because it's 120 million years old. It's an aerial resource map for humans to find their resources. Now, as far as I know, before 1794, nothing was flying in the skies. Nothing. And other than some birds and some meteors, there was nothing flying in the sky. That's when the aerial balloon was invented. I think it was 1794, 1784. It was
Well,
invented. That was the first time man ever flew. Well, technically, it's the first time.
man, yeah. I mean, you and I have done shows on the Gray Zone that show
Yes, but
ancient artwork going back to, and I mean, and petroglyphs and stuff that goes way
so
back.
that's why I tell people when you get into ufology, you should always start in the past because there's so many interesting things 500 years, 1,000 years, 3,000 years, 5,000 years, 7,000 years in the past. There's so many interesting things that you have to question because there were no type of technologies existed then that would put something flying in the skies.
That's
But
right.
yet there's things flying in the skies. We've got, I can't remember exactly when it was. I want to say it was like 1550 or 1580. So there's some artwork from London. 3 different artists did this, and there was journals listed in the journal. So what happened was they were outside sitting in London doing their thing, having a cup of coffee, having a brew, whatever. And these orbs started floating through the city. They were from like this size all the way up to the size of cars, just
They
floating
wanted the
along through the
Folgers.
city. And I was wondering, I remember one of the movies, The Day the Earth Stood Still. They had these little bubbles that would float around and snatch somebody and take them off, and for the to bring them back later on. And it was just weird. So the mayor actually saw it and he made comments about it. He talked to the newspaper about it. It was in the newspaper. This was well documented, and there were hundreds of these things floating around. And they even said it appeared to be intelligent because it would respond when you talk to it by changing lights or creating weird noises, and it would move out of the way of stuff. That shows intelligence.
It does. Yeah.
But what was it exactly? Nobody knows. But the fact that it happened and it's that well documented, it's good. It's like the Blue Shield in Israel, or not Israel. Where was it in? I think it was in, what was Baghdad back in the old days? Persia?
Babylonia.
Yeah. Anyway,
Babylonia.
there's
Babylonians in Babylon.
I know.
I was just glad you didn't.
there's an
I was
old
going to say
story.
baloney,
It's the
but
medication. Yeah.
There's an old story the
it's
Greeks
just me.
talk about. The Greeks talk about this
Not
story
you, me.
that there was a 3-year war going on in the Middle East, and it had been raging, and nobody was winning. People were just getting killed, but nobody was winning. They couldn't get into the city. The city was too well fortified, and they had lots of resources, so they, the city was holding up. One evening, they said it was evening, right after dusk. This shield thing, it's called a big grayish silver shield thing, come floating over the army out there, and got over the gate and just sat there for a minute. And a blue beam of light came down and touched the gates, and then all of a sudden the gates just exploded into splinters. And of course, the army run. Now, what's good about this story is both sides talk about it the same way. So it's not just a winning army giving you bullshit. It is both sides, the losers and the winners, talk about what happened here. Now, this was at least 2,000 years ago. It was before Christ. And what the hell was it? What was flying around the skies, blowing up gates? No one can put a word on it. It's just, and then there's the Mesoamericans have so many things that were flying around. 1,500, 3,000 years ago. The Egyptians talk about things that would broach their cities.
For sure.
The Greeks, the Romans. I mean, there's so much of this. And nothing was flying back then. So it had to be someone else. Well, whoever sent me that message just now. Yeah, it could be demons. I doubt it was demons, but I guess anything is possible. This all sounds like alien stuff. And please don't write to me, people, and tell me that aliens are the devil, because that's not true. The devil is too busy to fake like he's an alien. In old days, the devil didn't have nothing to do. And today, when there's 8 billion people on the planet, he is like got a waiting line to get into hell.
Yeah, I think he's the busiest one out of
That's what I'm saying. So he's not worried about getting any human to commit. He's already got plenty of you bastards coming in. So I would say it is not alien. I mean, not demon. Oh, people get so mad at me when I say that too. They're like, I can't believe you said that.
There's a good comment right here for you.
Okay. Thank you. Dolly says an ET can psychically remote their consciousness into the device to check you and anything on this planet or any world they want.
Yes,
that's not scary at all.
Well, no, they can. The grays and the light beams can actually physically break a piece of their self off and put it into something else. They can put it in hardware, software, or humans, or any alien for that matter. The reason it all started because the light beams can't really come to Earth because their energy is just non-conducive for humans. And not what I mean is people, the light beams are on our side. They want to see us go, but to us, they're a god. I mean, they can create and destroy planets with thought. They can build and design the universe by thought. They can travel through space and time by thought. They don't need physical instrumentation of any kind. And if they wanted to wipe us out, they could do it by thought.
So are you saying they don't visit?
They don't, not in the way that people think. So people always say, "Oh, the light beam was standing in front of me." If a light beam was standing in front of you, you would be melted. Okay, I just want to be honest with you. The plasma from them would just melt you. Our minds and bodies are not ready for this kind of interaction yet. This is a race that's at least 4 billion years old. There is not even any comparison between us and them. We can't even think on a scale that they do because we just don't even understand what they are. So what they do is,
disagrees with you.
if wow,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. People should
Polly says
disagree.
yes, they do.
They should
I'm
do,
just
but
saying what they're all
but,
about.
well,
I
but see,
kind of
that's where people
disagree
get
with you too,
confused.
Joe.
Well, that's where people get confused because a light beam can only break itself off and put a piece of itself in you. If a whole light beam tried to get in you, you would be disintegrated.
Okay,
It would
that's
be
not.
it would be like trying to shove Elon Musk's fire thing down your throat. It would melt you. It's just our bodies are not designed for this shit. Our bodies barely can house a Gray's brain in our head.
But it doesn't mean
much
they
less.
can't project their energy. It doesn't mean that they can't, come in form of energy.
And they are non-conducive to our atmosphere.
That's
They
what I was
can
gonna say.
actually ignite Earth's atmosphere. Their plasma level is at such a heat that if they actually entered our atmosphere, it would ignite our atmosphere. That's how hot they are compared to us. They came from a galaxy far, far away from ours and far different than this one is. People always think, "Oh, they're from here." No, they're not from here. And the Greys will tell you they're not from here. And the Greys will even tell you in the beginning that even they couldn't be exposed to them in the beginning because it would kill them. According to the stories, they killed tens of thousands of them just trying to convert them into the race they are today. So it just depends, but and then there are versions of light beams, but the guys who run the galaxy are energy. They're pure energy. They're not on a wavelength or a light length. They're energy, physical forms of energy. They're not a light. They're not made out of light. They're made out of plasma.
Hold on, I'm just putting up. I just put up comments as we go, so you can just see them. She was
Yeah,
supposed to
I'm watching.
gamma.
Well, I'm reading the chat as we're going along too.
We just like to put it up for everybody else too.
What are you drinking, Joe?
Yeah.
I'm drinking a damn good black silk is what I'm drinking.
Who makes that, Joe?
That damn stuff is good, man. Make you like, look, see, I'm getting hairs growing out on my chest.
And who makes that?
Who does make this? I don't know. I remember.
Oh, you know it. You better say it.
I don't know who makes this coffee. Who makes this coffee? Y'all know it's Folgers because Folgers is the best coffee.
Yeah, you know it, and you better say it. There we go.
Space is a very dangerous place, dog. Ain't no doubt about that part. It's space is non-conducive to humans. We'll get there. I mean, we'll get there, and we'll develop as we go along. It's just we're babies. When you look at the universe is 14 billion years old. We're not even 2 million years old yet. We are a baby race.
Do you think they have this curriculum in their mind of saying we're going to teach this much and then we're going to move them?
It's not how it works.
Because
the council tells them what they can do and what they can't do. For the most part, there is a directive. They're not supposed to directly interfere with us.
Okay, and who votes the council in? It's nothing like what we do.
Well, each planet votes their own representatives in. So the way this is, so this planet is huge. It's probably on a magnitude about 30 times the size of Jupiter. It's a water planet, and the city itself floats. It just floats around the planet. It doesn't float on the water; it floats on the air above it. I've got literally 300 or 400 drawings of this from different contactees over the years. So the original council, when you hear people talk, sometimes they tell you 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12, 15, 19. For the most part, it usually is 15 is usually the number with the light beam sitting in the middle as the one, and the rest of them sitting on each side. There's a gray and reptilian on each side, and then there's other races going down. And there's only 15 of them. Now, when you look up, if you've ever seen Star Wars movie where the council meets, this guy must have been a contactee because that's how they describe it. They describe it as this big oval spear with these things that are parked all around, and each world has its own representatives in them. And when they speak, the thing attaches and comes out and gets in the middle, and it speaks. Now, above them is a big dome thing that hangs down, and inside of that is water, or fluid, I should say. And there's a whole shitload of planets there being represented. This is huge. There's probably on a magnitude of 500 million worlds being represented here. It's
Is
insane.
this the same? What I've heard, you guys talk about Council of Nine, that the writer
Well, it's
of
what I'm
Star
saying.
Trek?
It varies on who you ask. Sometimes it's 7,
Okay.
sometimes it's 9, sometimes 11, sometimes 13. Most of the time it's 15. But it's weird. So
Okay.
what I really figure what's going on is when different, because we don't have a place in the council. Humans aren't represented. We haven't
Oh.
reached that technological level yet, or mental level. It's not just technology we have to reach, and that's what humans need to learn early on. To become part of this group, we have to enlighten ourselves and our technology. So we have to become a spacefaring race, but we have to become a united world that's a spacefaring race that's actually trying to save our world and not destroy it, or not destroy anybody else's worlds. That's why they won't let us in space right now, because we're dangerous.
Yeah.
Well,
Tamara's got a
somebody
great
must
question.
represent us.
Yeah. Who represents us? Yeah. Tamara's got a great question.
Technically, nobody represents us.
What? Nobody wants us?
We're non. We're okay.
We know
For
extraterrestrials have
most
met
of the
with
species,
presidents and such. Like there
for
must be
most of the
some kind
species,
of
we're like
representation.
pets.
Right?
Okay, we're like pets. That's what we are.
What?
We're like what?
We're like pets. We
Pets.
haven't reached the technological level yet, or mental level yet, that we're much more than pets to them. It's hard. Like the human aliens, when they're talking to a human, they're looking for humans with intelligence levels way over 150, 160, 180, 200, because there's concepts. If we're going to be part of this, we have to understand. And currently, right now, all I can say is the human race is ignorant. Look, we got Putin over there trying to start World War III. We got Xi
It's
Jinping
getting
with
worse.
today, Taiwan.
Violent.
With
It's
all
just-
the education, the social media, the communication technology that we have, we still are having wars. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and there
It's
should be no
ridiculous.
wars
It's
going on right
uncalled
now.
for.
No,
It's
we have
barbaric.
to evolve, and that's not happening. We're still stuck in the dark ages, and a lot of people believe that there are certain powers that be that keep us there for whatever reason.
It might be. So if you
more
go
power
back
and control for them, money.
I challenge anyone listening to
That
us
makes
tonight,
sense.
go back
Yeah.
about 700 years or 500 years and read like the Spanish newspaper or the English newspaper, and you're going to find out they have the identical problems of us. The only difference between them and us is this technology.
So we haven't really evolved.
We have mentally we have not evolved. We're still
as a race.
200. Yeah, we haven't united any worlds. We haven't united any countries. The United States had a chance to unite the world after World War II. We decided not to, which made no sense to me. I mean, we had the chance. We already owned 2/3 of the world. All we had to do was take out Russia, and the world was ours. We'd have been a democracy now. There would be 200 states and not 200 countries. We wouldn't be spending $3 trillion in military worldwide. We'd be spending $3 trillion a year on space travel and education and helping us get through diseases. But that's not what we do right now. And there's another thing. All the scientists would be united under one banner. Right now, they're spread out across 200 countries. So they'd all be working different projects. You'd have your top cancer people working together. It would just be a different world. But we're not. It's not the world that the powers to be want. Yeah, I agree, Dolly. It's a lot of ego. It's just not the world that the powers to be want. It's not the world that Joe Biden wants. It's not the world that Putin wants. It's not the world that Xi Jinping. None of them want the world blown up. Oh, I can't speak for Putin because he's dying, so he might want to blow the world up. But Xi Jinping's got kids. He don't want to blow the world up. Biden don't want to blow the world up. They all want to live. Even though they're old and ancient, they still want to live and enjoy their lives. And you can't do that when you got somebody threatening to drop 5,700 nukes on your head. And why we even still have all these nukes. Currently, the United States and Russia have almost 12,000 nukes. Now, don't get me wrong, people. We were up to 30,000 before we started downsizing. So it was insane. We could have blown up the world more times, and it's just ridiculous. And the bad part is we can't launch a nuke at China without killing ourselves because we share trade winds with China and Russia. So if we nuke them, we're nuking ourselves. Same thing if we nuke Russia. If we nuke Russia, the northern part of the United States and the southern part of Canada is going to get irradiated. So poor Canadians up there minding their own business. We're going to radiate
In
their
our
ass just because they're
igloos
sitting
and
there.
stuff.
Actually, not so much, because I don't want to get in politics. But one of our
Yeah.
leaders got his butt smacked by
But
Xi
what I
Jinping.
mean is, though, y'all share a jet stream with us, which we share
Right.
with
Yeah.
Russia and
Right.
China.
Right.
So what happens is if we nuke China,
Blows.
then we're nuking the middle and lower part of the United States. That's what's going to happen because all their radiation is going to be dumped on our country. They nuke us, it's going to dump on their country. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
Russia. So there is no nuking anybody without really.
It's
So if they nuke
stupid.
the Ukraine, actually, if Russia nukes the Ukraine, y'all are going to feel it.
Yeah.
Y'all will have radiation dumped all over your country.
So we're at war. There's war. We're trying to avoid war. We've got warmongers. War equals money. This is all power, ego. Will or why can't ET intervene? Why this prime directive? Because let's face it, we know that we have many different races that already live here.
But think about it.
They have just as much to risk as
if
us.
I gave an African tribe a nuclear bomb tomorrow, what do you think they would do with it? They would nuke somebody. Yeah, they would nuke their neighbors is what they would do. So if the aliens gave, say, the Russians really advanced technology, they would kill us all and take over. So they got to pick and choose who you can give it to the United States. Well, the United States is 50-50. Some days we're really good for the world. Some days not so much.
I would say, though, there has to be a different sort of intervention. There are
We ain't
just as
giving it to
many
pink
races
shorts,
that
that's for
live
sure.
here already. They have just as much to lose as we do.
No, they don't. The radiation is going to phase them. No, they're getting
I
their
don't
ship
know.
to go
If
sit
we're
in
trying to
space.
freaking blow the planet to smithereens.
So we blow it. Look at it from their point of view. We blow it up. They just got a new planet because they can clean up radiation in a matter of weeks. So it's not even that. From what I understand, they can actually clean the radiation in a matter of days. We could glow the whole planet. They could come in the next week and get all the radiation off our planet and start restoring it. And they have other ways to fast grow stuff. They could bring their own people here. It would just be a new world for them. There's not any need to save us. They don't want to see us kill ourselves because we're descendants of theirs. We're related to the Greys, reptilians, and human. Related to all three of them. So they want to see us make it, but they're not going to get their asses in trouble to try to save us, and they're not going to give us advanced technologies. Right. They're just not going to, because they could cure cancer tomorrow. They could cure every disease on this planet tomorrow. It's just, and also too, there's some wisdom so if you ask the Greys, they'll tell you the reason humans are living so short is they're just not ready for longer lifespans. This particular incarnation of man is not ready for longer lifespans.
So that's what I was going to say, because if you read the Bible in biblical times, they lived
900 years on average,
very long lives.
And it was a different place.
Different?
Well, it depends what you want to believe. Some people say because the wife was the one who carried the name over, then each one that got it just carried that same name. And that's why it went so long. But I don't know. That's 50-50 at best. A lot of people seem to think that certain entities lived 900 to 1,500 years back then. So it's not beyond this. But think of this. People always tell me that psychic abilities, everybody have them. Okay. Well, humans are 2 million years old. Why haven't they gotten any better? Why haven't more people have them? Why aren't we using them? Why aren't they being developed?
Stopped chemically.
No, because the majority of us don't possess them and never will. Not the people that live here today. So you will find out contactees, all abductees and contactees are empathic and telepathic. It's one of the prerequisites for us to even consider you to be an abductee or contactee. You have to be at least empathic. But I can prove it day after day after day that the majority of species doesn't have it. It's easy. And I challenge people this all the time. All you need is 2 cards. And go to your local mall, let you do it. Just ask, say, we want to do a psychic test, put a little thing up, and you'll be surprised how many people will sit down and take that test. And what's going to surprise you is how many people get 0 every time. So like when you flip a coin, you should get it 50-50. Okay. Shouldn't have to be whether you're psychic that you flip a coin heads, tails should be 50-50. That's the average. Most people flipping a coin, it's 30-70. They get it wrong 70% of the time. So the same thing with the cards are true. When you put a green and blue card down, or whatever colors you want to use, and I think to you this is the color, or the other people with us think to you that this is the colors, and you still get it wrong, you're not telepathic or empathic. And if you get it wrong 8 or 9 times, you're not even remotely telepathic or empathic. So it's not that hard of a thing to debunk the sayings that everybody has the abilities. It's a pretty easy thing to do. It's one of the reasons I started testing for psychic abilities way back, 35 years ago. because we wanted to know, was it true? Was everybody latent, and could these abilities be brought out, or did they simply not exist?
Mm.
And you can track a family line. If the mom's got it, the daughter and sons have got it. The grandma's got it, the great grandma, the great grandpa. You'll see the whole family line has it. And anybody that's inbred into that family has it as well. But the overall majority of humans do not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they all become Rh negative in 5,000 years.
But I believe a lot of people have some type of ability. Like you have police officers, paramedics, firemen,
instinct,
intuition. But
That's
that to me
intuition.
is
That's
intuition.
Intuition's intuition. That's a whole separate thing.
You see it as different.
It is different.
Okay.
It comes from homing your skills from doing a job every day. So a new rookie cop and a new rookie fireman is not going to have that intuition.
That's a good point.
But when they're a
Yeah.
veteran, 10, 15, 20 years on the field, they do. And it's because
Yeah.
you work with this, you understand this, you start to feel and sense things. But it's not a telepathy. It's not an empathy. Telepathy is when you know who's knocking on the door, who's on the telephone, who's getting ready to call you. That's telepathy. It's not, and people get confused between telepathy and clairvoyancy. Clairvoyancy is telling the future. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So, but empath and telepaths are simply experiencing people's emotions or feelings or sensing their thoughts. And you can tell somebody who's good is good. I mean,
wouldn't you like nurses with amazing bedside manner to me are empathic?
Well, they might be. And I would bet you a lot of nurses are empathic. It's probably one of the reasons they went into the field.
That's what I feel. I feel they're very empathic. But then again, like a firefighter, some of them are just there. They're not all, a bowl of cherries, right? Like we hear about stuff like that.
Some cops are just nasty, bad.
But most of them, I would say, are highly empathic. They're incredible. I think they do an incredible job with their skill and
a lot of them do,
their
but
gifts.
But you know that detectives and all aren't really have telepathy or really empathy, because when they're interrogating someone, they can't get the answer.
Well, they're scientific, though. Detectives are scientific. You have to make a balance with that.
But if
profilers are gifted.
And this is another one for y'all.
science.
Here's a more interesting one for y'all. Did you know the majority of district attorneys get it wrong more than they get it right?
Yes, I did know that.
So, and currently, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but currently, right now in the United States, 1/3 of everybody in jail is innocent.
But it's really sad. But it's here too. DAs have to prove that you have three things, right? Motive, intention, whatever, and ability, and no alibi. But it's sad because the court system has become become political in your country because you guys vote your people in. We don't. But how do ET ever look down and say we need to step in with our legal system at all? Because we're letting our people suffer.
No,
people are in jail for years and years. I mean, the hurricane was a perfect example of
they
that.
consider it lessons for humans to learn is what they consider it. It's
That's
nothing
ridiculous.
They can tell us. It's like your children. Some things with your children, you have to let them experience to learn. You can tell them all day long, and you can, Lord, this is what's going to happen if you do this, and they're still going to go do it.
So, like, this is confusing to me because they're going to prison for lifetimes. Mm-hmm. Some people, how is it their lesson if they're innocent?
Might not be their lesson. It might be the district attorney's
So you're the
lesson.
Sacrifice for the lesson of the other person. That's a sacrifice. That's not a lesson.
Well, it's a sacrifice for the individual. It's a lesson for the other individual. Yeah. It's but unfortunately that happens, and it happens a lot around the world, and it something
happens everywhere.
And Dolly, you could be right. Sometimes it could be karma.
It's I believe
I just told this to Nicole the other night.
Path life's like a contracted choice. Like I'd like to have this suffering so that I can, I think that's a whole other subject.
But like I told Nicole the other night, some of us are here to teach karma, not to experience karma.
Yeah.
So that's different. And just because somebody did something horrible to you doesn't necessarily mean they're a horrible person. You might have been a horrible person in your last life and you had it coming. So people have to remember that, sometimes it's just simply about you were an asshole in your last life and you got it coming. That's why I'm not going to be rich in this one, because last life I was bad. Linda was the bad one. I was just along for the ride.
Linda was the good one. So
I heard it when she went by, right?
Do you believe that? Oh, now I lost track of oh my God, it's just following my entire freaking day. It really is. It really is. It's just my whole day. I don't even remember what I was going to say.
Okay, we'll just go into
Oh.
comments then.
Yeah, I'll read her comment, and then I remembered because I saw her comment. Tamara says, being psychic has been discouraged in society until recent years.
Until recent years, I agree. Now, so
That's
the
a bit
U.S.
evolving,
Navy,
right?
yes, the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Air Force have been recruiting psychics since 2000. Officially recruiting psychics since 2000.
Officially. Because they've been recruiting a lot longer than
well,
that.
No. Because before that, they did remote viewing, but they found out remote viewing was garbage and it didn't work. Well, okay, let me rephrase it. It works to an extent. So, yeah,
Which
well, no,
type
because
of
I got
remote
friends that are
viewing?
remote viewers, so I don't want to get them all mad at me. So,
No,
so
like
this is
you're
what a remote
referring
viewer.
to. Sorry, go
let's
ahead.
let's say they're remote viewing Bob. Okay, so they're going to see Bob. This is Bob. They're going to see Bob, but that's all they're going to see. But a psychic is going to tell me how many teeth he's got, where he's sitting in the office, what the inside of his eyes look like, his nose cavity. That's the difference. So if a remote viewer sees a nuclear weapon like a launcher, okay, he can see the launcher. He can even tell you what a launcher is. But the psychic can tell you the same thing and the code to shut it down. That's the difference. That's why they want to use psychics instead of remote viewers. Remote viewers are just limited.
Yeah, because there's psychic remote viewers, and then there's remote viewers who do it with. There's a program that they're taught, right?
Yeah,
that's one that they
Ed
were
Dames
using
is the
originally.
most famous remote viewer ever. He was the one that worked for he was a colonel in the Air Force. He was the one that started. Unfortunately for him, though, they decided to go with full blown telepaths. Is what they did. And I know about 7 people in the program. They're all contactees. Matter of fact, everyone in both groups are contactees.
I think they didn't give me the telepath gift because they know that I'd have no friends.
Well, you're empathic. You are a contactee. You're just in denial. So we're going to leave that alone because you're in denial.
No friends, no family.
After I seen Mr. Sparky on your television, I knew you were being taken.
Pardon?
We're moving on now.
Yeah,
but you're very empathic. And if you are empathic, you are an abductee. You're not a contactee because you're in
just
denial.
one of the things.
She's just in denial.
No,
that's just
there's no talking to her.
No.
If you're empathic or telepathic, you're a contactee, or I should say, an abductee.
I wish I was telepathic.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I'd be a total lone wolf.
I've noticed with you have a tendency to block it off. Because I've noticed when you and I talk sometimes you'll use it because I can feel you touching. And then sometimes you'll just block it off because it's touching. Oh, yes, you are, you dirty girl.
I am not touching you.
She's a dirty girl, people. No. I can tell you.
Never. You're a married
She's a dirty girl. I didn't mean touching like that now. It's like
we're friends levels. Yes, we are, Tamara.
This is a family show.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. This is our family show, people.
With a family sponsor.
PG-17, people. PG-17.
I'm very, I think that when you're gifted, you have to teach yourself to block things.
You do. You have to teach yourself how to control. You have to teach yourself how to stay out of other people's heads. You got to teach yourself how to keep them out of your head. So one of the first things you meet when you meet an abductee for like the first time and they're a strong empath, they're crazy. And the reason why is they have no idea what emotions they're doing. So when you're sitting there, you walk into a room, all of a sudden you start getting depressed and angry and wanting to cry. Well, you've been in a great mood all day. What the hell just went on? You just experienced somebody else's emotions. But some of y'all sin. So you'll walk into a room all pissed off and all of a sudden the whole room's mad. It's because you just transmitted that to everybody in the freaking room.
How so?
It works. And it works. I've seen it.
Never done
we've
that.
actually we've actually tested it.
I've been told that my friends have told me that they feel really good after they've let me, which is what I want them to feel.
So that's what you're pushing out.
Yeah. Well, I'm always laughing. There's a reason why Michelle calls me Bubbles. There's a few hundred reasons, but that's one of them. But
you like to float around the room, but we'll leave that for another
day. Squirrel.
You've never driven up my driveway when Michelle has picked me up. I've danced for her while she's pulling in.
I don't need to hear about these lesbian tendencies now.
Not that. Oh my God.
I couldn't resist. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend any lesbians if y'all listening. That's not what that was meant for.
Dolly says you just proved we are all psychic.
No, some of us are psycho. You need to add a different letter in there.
Oh my God.
Some people are just psycho, not psychic. You know, I've met a lot of good psychics over the years. I've met a lot of people who have a hard time trying to control it, but I've met some really good ones. I mean, psychics to the point where you'll be reading something like a page, and while you're reading it down, they're reading it aloud. So the page is where everybody in the room can see it, but the person who's being tested is reading the page that I'm reading just as fast as I'm reading it.
Yeah.
So they're and it's word for word. They'll even tell you what the exclamation marks are, the periods, the question marks.
That's a different type of gift because
That's
it's
a
almost like they're
serious
stuffing
psychic.
into you. That's a
That's
different
serious.
gift.
Yeah, that's a serious. It's a very serious, very gifted psychic. That's the
Yeah.
kind the military's looking for.
No.
The most psychics are like they'll be sitting here and the doorbell ring. Oh, that's John again, that dumbass. Or the phones ring. Oh, that's such and such or such and such. And they know things like that, but they miss a lot of stuff because one, they block a lot because it scares them. Some people don't want to have the gift because it is scary. I mean, you start picking up other people's brain thoughts or things, and if you don't know what it is, you think it's you thinking these thoughts. You might be sitting next to a pedophile going, "Wow, when did I become a pedophile?"
You have to learn how to close that off because it can be very hurtful. And sometimes, you get flashes of things. So you just have to be really careful. That took years of practice for me.
It takes
I
a
don't
lot.
want to know what you're thinking. I don't
No.
want to know anything. I just want to live in the moment. And a lot of people don't get that.
So that's one of the things when we teach these dream weaving courses on, we try to help people learn how to block things, how to keep people out of your head, because there's a lot of psychic attacks go on with asshole people who know they have good psychic abilities and
Yeah,
they
it's
just want to
intrusive.
scare people, and they just want to get in your head and mess around. And so I've shown people over the years how to deal. As a matter of fact, Jason and Heather came to me one night about a particular case, and this guy was just had them in tears, man. They just couldn't stop him. And I'm like, well, give him my phone. I said, you know what? Give him my email and tell him I want to talk to him. And I felt him immediately when he read my email. I felt him immediately touched. I said, you want to play dirty? So when we went to bed that night, I said, well, I'll just let him in my head. Man, he opened the door and it'd be a dragon eat him whole, be a lion eat him whole. This guy must have got eaten 9 times in like 10 minutes. And I still remember. And when I got him out of my head, I just went in his and just locked him down. So the next day, and I told him in his brain, I said, you're gonna get up this morning and you're gonna apologize to both of these people, or I'm gonna give you nightmares for the rest of your life. Sure enough, 10 o'clock that morning, he called Jason and he called Heather and he apologized. And he never bothered him again. Jason's like, what the hell did you do him? I said, I taught him why I teach dream weaving.
Here's a question for you. When you're using your gifts and your abilities
that could be a karma thing too,
in a bad way, for bad instead of good, does ET ever interfere? No.
The only time ET interferes is let's say that Michelle was a communicator for him or a keeper for him, and the government came and mill-labbed him and started doing certain things or asking certain questions. They will come take her from him. And there has been cases, especially with the Greys, where they killed the individuals that took her. They don't play around with you screwing around with their contactees. It's a big-time no-no for them. Anybody who's a regular contactee, if they ever get mill-labbed, if the wrong things are asked, or if they treat you the wrong way, they will come remove you from their presence. All 3 races will. Because there's only 3 races abducting, but all 3 races will remove you from the government. They will not play with the government even. And in some cases, they will, I hate to say it like this, but in some cases, the ET will turn you over to the government.
Oh my God, I just want to go over and take care of Michelle. Seriously.
I know.
I feel so bad for you.
I'm going to send her some good drugs.
No, she needs chicken soup. Look, she's smiling. She needs chicken soup.
I'm going to send her some of these red pills I got. She won't wake up for about 3 days, and then she'll feel better.
She needs to sleep, believe me.
She does. She needs sleep.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm just coughing up a lung or snorting out my sinuses.
That's what happens when you have grandbabies, man.
I work no matter what. I work.
That's some grandbabies do that, man.
You have to kiss them when they want to kiss you. You can't do anything about that.
I'll be like, get back, you
don't
heathen
hurt
kid.
them.
I said, you get your flu shot, get back, you heathen kids. Stay the hell away.
It doesn't matter. The flu shot takes 2 weeks to work.
Yeah, that's why I send them. Don't let them visit till I get it. It's it's strange.
Chris Phoenix, that is so cute. I caught this live stream twice. I'm lucky. We're lucky to have you. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, we'll stop by anytime. They're here 8 to 10 every week. And tonight we're giving away Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber, which is not this one.
I think I spelt it wrong when I put it on.
This is the one. This is the one I chase around my stepdaughter with and cut her into pieces all the time. Oh, and Lola loves this thing.
Everybody's asking me, can I have it? Can I have it? Like Graziano Michelle, the one that.
Well, the one we're giving away tonight is regular price is $8.99. I think right now it's on sale for $500.
Wow.
And,
how are we giving that away?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, then we'll give you an email, and then y'all going to write to my email when we tell you what number
Okay,
it's going to
later
be.
on in the show.
And
Yeah.
then when we get the individual, we will have it sent out. I send it over to the company, and the company sends it out. And they're really good. They've got them out really fast. So usually you get it in 3 to 5 days. And that's the people overseas. In the United States, I think they're getting them in 2.
Wow.
And
Oh,
he's been
boy.
really good. And then he's going to go ahead and do another, I think,
I
6
hope
more.
nobody wins in the UK because it's going to take months.
Well, we have
When's
one
the
in
one?
Spain, one in Mexico, one in Auckland, New Zealand. We had somebody down there. But out of the 6 we've given away, or the 7 we've given away now, 4 of them were in foreign countries.
Wow. Good
That's
for
good.
them.
It's
Yeah,
nice.
so,
We've got, listenership
and 3 of them were
all over the
women.
world. So this is nice.
And
Yeah, we had
but we've
Australia in
given
the house
7.
yesterday.
Yeah, we've given 7 away now. So, and this will be 8 tonight. It's just something nice for Christmas. And people, you can do whatever you want with it. It's yours. Once you get it, it's yours. All of them have full sound effects, full light effects. The one we're giving away tonight has 22 sound effects, and I think 4 or 5 colors it changes into.
I'm dying at some of the comments. Like I almost fell off my chair about 20 minutes ago because I'm reading this and I'm just looking at Michelle. She knows what I'm thinking when I'm seeing this. Thanks, Wayne.
Don't worry, Wayne. We were all bastards in our last life. No big deal. I was like the emperor that just like to cut your toes off just for shits and giggles.
You must have did something right, Wayne. You got bubbles in your life. Poor Wayne. Poor Wayne.
That was definitely part of your karma there, buddy.
Don't pick on Bubbles.
That was definitely part of your karma there. Oh man.
No.
But I mean, when you look at all these different races that are here, they I mean, the Greys, and this is what's so weird about this. So let's look at Dolly because we know Dolly pretty well. So let's take Dolly and go back 2,000 years. Let's go back 20,000 years to her great 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 grandmother. Okay,
what?
she was in a contactee.
Say that again.
She might have been the original contactee in that family line.
Mm-hmm.
So now that family's coming forward. But what's interesting is the Gray that abducted the great grandmother back then is probably the same Gray that's abducting her today.
Okay, I have.
That's
a
how
question.
familiar they are with your family. So if reincarnation is real, then they've met you as a reincarnation more than one time.
Right.
Okay, I have a question for you.
I have a question. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just repeating.
Oh.
It's just like a little meme that says, I have a question.
Yeah, I have lots of questions because I'm still learning. But if they go back all the way back, did this ever happen where you're not reincarnated and then they take you with them? Does that ever happen?
You. So there's a couple of things that go on here weird. When in family lines, because they abduct in family lines. So as we evolve, some of the people will be taken off planet. So there's lots of stories about these big, long ships with rows and rows and rows and rows of humans in it. So when you see it, though, they always show you. So let's say, it depends what world you're going to. Let's say they're going to this new world. It's a colony world for a bunch of different races, and it has a water belt around it. Where the equator is all water, and the top and bottom is all land. But it's a 2G environment, so it's a little bit heavier gravity than here. So the bodies you see are a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger, a little squattier because they're going to a world that requires that. Let's say they're going to put you on Mars, then you'll probably be longer, skinnier, a little frailer to what you look like because your body's being developed for that. But most of them are made somewhere in between so they can move around, but they're strong enough. Their heads are bigger than ours by probably 15 or 20%. But they look just like us, and they look like you. I mean, you're going into your body. It's your new body. So they only take those people when the time is right. So we can never figure this out, man. When we first got in this field 40 years ago, people call up, Joe, I seen a flying saucer over a graveyard. What the hell was that? Oh, I seen one over a hospital. I seen one over a mortuary. What the hell? I'm thinking, wow, the Greys are morbid. I was with them. I'm like, what the hell are they doing this for? And then about a decade goes by. People start reporting stuff. So a couple of mortuaries reported missing bodies that happened to be contactees. And then, or the body would still be there, but just they would see like a beam come down and touch the body and something would be removed from the body. But when it happens, the body animates. That's what freaks them out. The body becomes alive again for a few minutes as they're taking the soul out, or whatever you want to call it. So the Greys have the ability, actually all three races have the ability to remove your consciousness even from a 3-day dead body and upload it to a disk or upload it to a computer or upload it to a new body, whatever they think they need to do at the time. Because if you're not ready for your new body, for wherever it's going, they might put you in what they call a husk body, which is a hologram body. Basically, you're basically living in a hologram, but you're alive. And you can probably do anything you want because you can't be killed by anything. But eventually, they put you in the real body and they put you on whatever planet you're going to. So that happens every so often, and it's going to happen more and more and more as we evolve. The more advanced we become, the more of them they're going to take. So there's the
Okay.
Holocaust dream, which we talk about a lot. So 1/3 of all contactees have the Holocaust dream. 1/3, it's a lot.
Holocaust or apocalypse?
Holocaust, apocalypse, whatever you call it, same thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So when you hear people describe this, we'll use the Texas one because a lot of people are familiar with Texas. So there's a group of 14 different contactees had the exact same dream. Now remember, right now we've had over 112,000 people write into the organization with their different experiences. And a lot of them, when they talk about the Holocaust dream, this is how they talk about it. So they're driving along, la, 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 la. They pull into Houston. They notice that the street lights are working. There's cars parked on the side. There's lights flashing. Everything seems to be working. They get out the car. Three of the ladies told me when they got out the car, they walked up to this window, and this thing came down and started talking to them and started asking them, you want to buy this? We noticed you surf this product. So it's virtual is what it is now. In the United States, we banned that. So we know this has to be off in the distant future because we're not going to allow them to sell virtual advertisement. And the reason why is let's say that somebody was looking at porn and they pull up. That's the last thing your computer's seen. So when this thing looks at you, it's going to say, what about this site, or give you something along the lines of the last thing you looked at. Well, that could be quite embarrassing if you especially standing there with your spouse or something. So they kind of figured, and that and the fact that a lot of times they spam you with stuff that you've already bought. So it's not a technology that we're readily available to use, but it is one that's going to be used when this is going on. So that and they don't see any bodies anywhere. Cars are parked. Everything's nice and neat. Nothing's burning. Nothing's destroyed. So they go through the city to get out on the other side of Houston, and they see these military vehicles and they're digging mass graves. I mean, big bulldozer graves, and they're just pushing tons of bodies into these graves. So what happened is they're pretty sure it's some type of pandemic. Something is released on the planet, kills 2/3 of everyone on the planet in less than 7 days. So there isn't even a chance of getting a cure for this. It just kills them. But contactees are naturally immune to it. So they're not going to kill them. So the government figured this out somewhere along the line. They've actually built squadrons where they've taken blood from contactees to build up immunity inside these soldiers so that when the time comes, they will have people, through their family lines, they will have people ready to help them do whatever they're going to do. So they'll tell you that they're left behind. This group of contactees are being left behind to make sure the other contactees get to the different places where the ships are going to pick them up. And they're told they may have to do horrible things like burn people, wipe their brains out, destroy buildings. And they have those abilities because they're now in their new host bodies. They're no longer in their human body. So the day before this happens, all the contactees that are being left behind are actually brought up to the ships and uploaded into their new bodies and then sent back.
Now, is this in the dream state, like memories that you were retrieving from contactees?
No, these are conscious. These are conscious memories that people see these on the ship all the time.
Okay, just want to be clear on that.
Especially in the 67 and the 80s, the bodies being seen were insurmountable. The amount that were actually being seen, it was just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you hear people talk about these rows on these ships, they sound like they're 100,000 a row. So we're talking millions of people, not just a few. But they're planning on using Earth. So something's coming that's going to wipe out the majority of Earth. They are prepared to save a good chunk of us. So they're going to bring most of the colonists are going to be brought off world to live in other worlds. But they are going to have 2 colonies on Earth. One's going to be in Seattle, and I forgot where the other one is. I think it's in Australia somewhere. But the rest of the planet is going to be used by the humans, the Greys, and the reptilian until such a time that the human colonies are big enough to reclaim the planet, which will be a long time. That's not going to be, and plus everybody else has been taken off world. They're not coming back. But the reason why the ones are being left here, because they can't go to the new worlds, because some of the things they're going to do mentally and physically, they don't want them interacting with the people they brought off world.
Okay.
They don't want them to experience this, whatever this negativity is they have to do to keep these other contactees alive. and it sounds like it's pretty damn negative. They don't want the other people to experience it. They don't want them to feel it, experiences. They want them to start off clean, fresh, new bodies, new thoughts, new minds, new lives. Um, no negativity, just positivity.
Our
That's not
boss
Earth.
is a real, stickler for having to do station ID and sponsor ID.
Oh, yes, we do.
We're going to do that right now.
Yes, we are, because we would never forget. Yes, we are. Just let me find my little flag.
Yeah, Dolly, it's hard to put a time zone on this, but I agree with you. I figure it's in recent times because of the way they described Houston. It doesn't sound like it's that far. And it's not just Houston. There's a bunch of other cities they talk about, but it doesn't sound like it's that far off in our future. And they do like to say it's around 9 or 10 billion people. Well, we're at 8 billion right now. So it's not as far. It'll probably be outside of our lifetimes, but barely.
Okay.
I'm trying to find my thing, but I'm gonna just wing it because I can't find my. I always have it on my system here, and somebody obviously.
Okay, so why don't you do that, and I'm going to play this right now.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Zing,
There we go.
Yeah.
Who loves you, Dolly?
Dolly's got that voice.
Right.
I've got to find it on my phone. Sorry. Crazy. This is what happens when you delete a whole bunch of emails by accident, right?
She's killing me because I love you.
It's just fitting with the actual day today, and that's all I can say. But I'm going to wing it because I think I've got it. You are listening to the Outer Realm Radio with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. Tonight, our guest is network owner, host, producer, extraordinaire of everything, Mr. Joe Montaldo. And in this show, you're also going to learn how to win that lightsaber. If you're watching, then you know what I'm talking about. Joe's already shown you that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't leave. You have to stick around with us. We want to give a huge thank you to the folks at Folgers Coffee. Thank you so much for sponsoring the show from day one. And thank you for your continued support. We also want to thank Justin Snicker, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, for our intro and outro. And you can find him on Facebook and Instagram. You can buy all of his music on Bandcamp or Amazon, but check him out on social media because he's dropping little clips of his music every single day. Also want to see, now I'm like, really, this is today. This is really today. This is really today. I have to find this. But what I wanted to say was, please, if you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Facebook, wherever you are, give us a like, hit the subscribe button, please.
That's right.
Show
Tell
us your support. Show us some love.
Love us, damn it.
Yeah,
See, I
show
love
us
you,
some
you sexy
love.
bastard.
And if you're interested in hearing past shows where Joe Montaldo has been on the show, or any of our guests, you can find us archived anywhere. Simply search United Public Radio or United Paranormal. United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, and then search the Outer Realm. Hit the share button. Thank you, Tamara. Hit that share button. I need to find my thing because that was really good. I'm just like blah, 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 today.
Okay.
I love my Folgers. People, I drink it every morning. Oh, Phoenix, try cold coffee. That's actually what got me drinking hot coffee. Was cold coffee and tea is what got me drinking hot coffee. My mom was a big tea freak, and she was always like, "Let's drink some tea. Let's drink some tea." I'm like, "Okay, Mom, we'll drink some tea." Tea's good, but coffee's better.
Huh.
Of course, except for
thank you,
iced
Terry
tea.
Shayna, for sharing. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you can tell me who played Rey in the new part of Star Wars, I want her real name, not her Star Wars name. I want to know who she is and what 3 Star Wars movies she played in. So I'm going to take, I do this all the time. I'm going to take email number 30 at iCarCox.net. So the first 3 times I did this, I kept forgetting to give out the email. Michael told me, he goes, "Oh, you're going to give out the email, right?" I'm
is
like,
it
"Oh, shit,
iCar.cox.net?
iCar at Cox.net.
at iCar
at Cox.net, and I want to know what Ray's real name is and what 3 movies she played. I want full titles, okay?
There we go.
So, and no, don't send it here. Send it to the email. We'll check it right before we leave tonight.
And it's the 30th email received.
Mm-hmm.
That's the light.
And be sure you put your contact information in there, or I can't send it to you, or they can't send it to you. Is what I actually should say.
Contact info.
That is so cool. Good luck to everyone.
Yes, we hope y'all win it. You know, I keep getting friends of mine writing, "How can I win?" I said, "You can't. You're friends of the network. Get out of here." They're like, "I'm like, no, you can't win."
Yeah.
They're like, and then I had a friend of mine, "Can you just give me one?" I'm like, "No."
Oh, Graziano asked me that today. He goes, "I'm working while you're on the show. Can I just have one?" I'm like, "No."
Nope. Okay, there we go. And that's for those of you who are listening, people. So that's that. So okay,
yes,
it makes it fair, right? 30th email makes it fair.
Yeah, well, we do 30 because I do all different, but 30 is a good one. It gives everybody time to get it in there, and not always it's the 30th email, so it'll be the next one after that. But like last night, no one actually hit the email, so we had to give them the first one after each email. But you know, we gave away some last night, and we're going to give away Darth Maul's probably sometime in the middle of next week. Yes, Darth Maul. Yes. What do you mean? Thursday's Thanksgiving, people. The girls might be here. I'm going to be eating turkey.
Oh, yeah. You have Thanksgiving.
We'll be here because we've got good guests.
And we don't have Thanksgiving.
And they already had their Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I know.
Jack, Canada, you doofball.
I know.
We had it 35 years before you. Just saying.
This is true,
yes.
too.
We had.
Okay,
so we're not getting into why we have Thanksgiving, people. Sorry.
No, we're going to get back to basics here as to what we're discussing. What are the signs? And because I actually get asked this a lot, and we've talked about this on the Gray Zone. What are the signs of an alien abduction or contact? I find abduction is a harsh word, even though they do lurk into your room while you're trying to sleep.
Well, abduction, we use abduction because abduction simply means you don't really remember being taken. Yeah, that's what abductions really are. So abductions, in abductions, it usually manifests itself in your dreams first. Mm-hmm. Later on, you'll start seeing like physical marks on your body that you can't explain. Every now and then you'll see like a 3-finger grab right here or some claw marks right here on one of your arms where something grabbed you and pulled you because you tried to pull away. Sometimes on the inside of women's legs, on their inner part of their thighs, you'll see finger marks there. Mm-hmm. And you generally, women, it's inside thighs. If somebody would have done that, they would remember it. So when they don't, you got to kind of question what was going on. Mm-hmm. And now remember, people, not everybody who thinks an abductee under hypnosis turns out to be that. Sometimes it's other stuff. And most of the time when that happens, you'll hear me refer them to one of the psychologists that we work with, because it has nothing to do with aliens. So there's no reason for us to be involved. If it's alien, we'll stay involved because we want to help people get through it and learn how to incorporate it into their lives. And because you can, I mean, especially knowing that you're an abductee or a contactee is a good thing because you now understand that you have empathic or telepathic or both. But we can help you learn how to use those abilities correctly and how to block out lots of noise or background noise and stuff like that. We can teach you how to do all of that stuff. And we can teach you how to use that empathic ability in a lot of different ways. And a lot of empaths tend to marry other empaths. It's one of the reasons they have so many arguments, because nobody knows what's going on, because they get in each other's head and then they get pissed off about certain things that haven't even happened yet. Or if somebody's thinking about something that they actually haven't said or done, but this person still gets pissed because they now sensed it. But there's good sides to this. Like when you're sitting and watching TV or just hugging out or snuggling up, those emotions meld together. So instead of having just your good feeling, you have his good feeling, he has yours. So you have double the feeling. It puts your body in a state, in your mind, in a state that you're just not going to experience unless you're with an empath. It's not just that. I mean, when you're making love to somebody and you're empathic, it's a whole different level. It's just a whole PG-17. Remember, people.
So is that a sign of being abducted?
Well, no, I mean,
I think I want in.
Yeah, well, you know,
like really good.
And empaths, you know, so it's one of the first things we test for people to see if they're empathic. But abductees usually manifest in your dreams, and then it's usually marks or missing. In the old days, we would have said missing time. Today, it's weird time or gain time, out of sort time. It's not so much missing time. I mean, with aliens have gotten wise to the missing time thing. and have just basically changed the way they do things.
Mm.
So there are still some missing time cases, but overall, the majority of missing time cases are they just don't exist anymore. We have, like I said, gain time, or weird time, or scrambled time, or things like that, where people have been taken back and taken out 10 minutes later, put back, but have 3 weeks of hair growth on their legs and stuff like that. So, we understand that now. It's like with Jim Sparks. Jim Sparks is a very famous contactee, and from time to time, Jim would get taken for weeks at a time. But nobody at
Really?
home knew that. Oh, yeah. It's not uncommon for contactees to be taken weeks and
But
months
how
at a
does
time
nobody at home? But how does no
because
one
they
at
bring
home
you
know?
back 10 minutes before they took you.
Hmm.
So the Greys have the ability, especially the Greys, they have the ability to pull you out of time and set you in a pocket outside of time. So time's not even moving. You're doing whatever. They're doing whatever for however long they need it.
Oh.
Time's not moving at all. And then they just pop you back in.
So how do people know that they've been taken that long? Do they?
They do. Some people sense it. Some people want to get regressed and it comes out in regression. And
Okay.
sometimes it's a big shock for people when they realize that. So this is one of my favorite stories, and I'll tell this for the umpteenth million time. We were down in Pensacola, Florida, investigating a case. The people they call us a really good abduction case. And we were down there and we went out. We all, we'd been together for a couple of days. We went out that night, had a nice, expensive dinner, and they had a girl walking around taking pictures, with the camera. So we had them take our pictures sitting and standing. So both women are wearing dresses, right above their knee a little ways. And the guys are sitting there. And so he's clean shaven, by the way. Her legs are shaved. His face is shaved. So 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call. I'm still in Pensacola. I'm in my hotel room. And I'm like, first thing I'm thinking, I'm like, who the blank is calling me at 6 in the morning? So I reach over, half asleep. I grab the phone and fumbling around. I said, hello. And they're just panicking. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I get dressed, get Linda dressed. We go over there. And when I get there, he's got a beard. I mean, a beard, like down to here. So I'm pulling on it, seeing if it's fake. I am. I'm yanking all over the damn thing. He's screaming and shit because I'm yanking on it. She's got at least 3 weeks of hair growth on her legs. So we sent him to the local doctor, and he couldn't figure it out. He said, I don't understand what happened. She said, well, I went to bed last night, clean shaved, and woke up this morning with, looking like a gorilla. Nobody, they can come up with any plausible explanation. So under hypnosis, they had been taken for 3 weeks. That's how long they were gone. So I had only 6 hours earlier, and they had been gone for 3 weeks by the next time I seen them.
That is disturbing.
It's kind of creepy.
Right.
And we've got many, 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 many cases like that. That's the scary part. But because for training reasons,
Wait, can I read that
Yeah, go ahead.
before you answer? Are you answering the question?
No, go ahead. I just seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. Michael Kennedy asked, can you ask the guest, which is Joe Montaldo, what his research and insights that have led him to understanding the messages from ET?
Messages from ET is a nasty, dirty thing to get involved in because depending on what abductee or contactee is, the message can be different. So basically, if you want to look at the aliens, this is one of the things we teach. Judge them by their actions. Just like you judge any other human on the planet, not by what you heard, not by what you've seen, but by their actions. Number one action, they take you without asking. Not everybody, but 99% of the people they take without asking. Ooh, that's a big red check right there. You're like, ooh, wait, what is that? They perform things on you a lot of times without your verbal permission, and they keep you for long periods of time without your permission. Now, this isn't everybody. When keepers or contactees reach a certain stage, and it's usually when you're older, it's probably in your 50s or 60s, you've been working for them for a keeper, they give you more leeway. So you can kind of say and do things that you couldn't do when you're younger. But for the most part, whether they like you or not, they still take you without your permission. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen. The first time they abduct you, you're still in your mother's womb. Okay, they actually physically remove you from the womb and examine you and then put you back. And then the day after birth, they take you again. And then from that point on, as a child, they probably take you every 6 or 7 weeks. When you hit puberty, they take you every week, probably for 10 years. Then after that, when you hit your 30s, it changes. The people who haven't lost their mind or freaked out or are still useful to the aliens will start being taught how to deal with things, become communicators that will go out and speak about this, become keepers who will work on board the ships to help with other abductees and other contactees and learn how to deal with other races. All these things come to fruition, but they're not messengers in the way that, so they'll say stuff like, well, some contactees say they're here to tell us to clean up the planet. Well, if that's true, they should have started telling us that 5,000 years ago. Why wait till now? That's a recent message. When you listen to what abductees and contactees say through the ancient world, it's a whole different kind of message. It's more about uniting the planet than anything else. Today, it's a different message. Why?
Who is the 1% they are asking?
Well, it's so usually so it depends where you are in your training with them, what you understand with them. So the more advanced abductee, I should say, the more advanced contactee or keeper you are, the more information you're going to be exposed to, the more information you're going to understand as well. No one's going to ever get the full picture because they're not here to give us the full picture. And most human brains can only contain about 25% of what they're seeing anyway. Or it would overload our hard drives, for lack of a better way of saying it. There's just too much data. It's like when you're on board a ship and you're interacting with all these other aliens and all these other beings, that whole time you're learning all kind of stuff. You're being brought in hologram rooms. You're being taught how equipment works and machines work. Well, you can't bring that back here with you. Mm. They don't want you to bring back to Earth in case somebody hypnotizes you and starts learning shit. They don't allow that. So what happens is you don't actually lose the information. The information is uploaded to an onboard computer, and when you come back on board the ship, you're instantly connected to it again. But it's not actually in your head; it's in theirs, or it's on board the ship's computers. But it's like being in your head because you have instant access to it. Okay. It's just too much information for our brain, so it's like having an extra brain. Because humans' brains just aren't physically that big yet, and we're not that fast yet. Even though our brain is a marvel compared to a Gray's brain, it's a hunk of dirt.
Oh, this is too much for my brain right now.
So it's just one of them things you have to learn to deal with. But for the most part, they don't want to see us wipe ourselves out. They would rather us survive. But let me tell you now, if Putin goes to launch nukes, they are not going to intervene.
Okay. I got a question before you go back to Putin.
Okay. You you love Putin. That's like your ex-husband or something.
Yeah, especially when he's on a horse.
He's sexy when he's on a horse. I'm sorry.
I have no comment. I don't know the men. I am curious as to, you said that they don't want people to, they don't want us discussing what they're doing with us or whatever. Who do they not want to know? Who are you referring to?
Okay, they don't. Okay, first off, if you're an abductee or contactee, you can talk about anything you want, anything you've experienced, or anything you've been involved with. They don't care. They actually want y'all talking to each other.
Okay.
So they don't really care that the general public knows, but the reason they don't want you telling them because you become a victim. Then odds are, we tell this to people all the time who want to come public. Once you become once you speak publicly, then you have now given Uncle Sam the opportunity to abduct you because they don't know who everybody who's being abducted is. They know a handful like Barney Hill. Barney Hill. They actually knew he was because he had been being in and out of psychiatric since he was 6.
Ex-military, or he had.
No, he wasn't, but he was friends with several colonels. Right. This is a black man who worked at the post office, who was married to a white woman, who had friends with top colonels, and was invited to the White House for dinner. Mm-hmm. And this is after his abduction experience. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't happen. You have to wonder what the hell was going on there. Betty was not the contact. People get mad at me for this, but Betty was not a contactee. Barney was. He was the contactee. And you know that. You can go back and listen to what Simon said, the hypnosis guy. You can see some of the stuff he was talking about while he was in therapy. He had been having this since a young child. You know, this was been going on his whole life, and it was scaring the hell out of him and freaking him out. And when you listen to the hypnosis tapes, which I got somewhere in my computers, you can hear it in his voice. So in the Hills case, this is how the Hills case got changed. There's 3 sets of memories in the Hills case when he's talking. So you have the original alien abduction that took place in Canada, by the way. It was somewhere in Canada. They were staying at a hotel in Canada. That's where the abduction took place. They can't remember the name of the hotel they stayed in. The next morning, they went across the street from the hotel where you could see the big hotel sign and had breakfast. They couldn't tell you where they had breakfast, and they still couldn't tell you the name of the hotel. So they got in their car and they're driving back to the United States. We're going home, going wherever the hell we live. So they stopped to ask directions while they were in Canada. Betty describes him as a white Irish policeman. Okay. Barney describes him as a black man. Whoa, wait a minute now. What the hell's going on here? This is typical different. Alien abduction 101. You don't remember where you've been. You can't account for your time. And now you're seeing different people. That's obviously you were taken there. So what happened is because they knew Barney was a contactee, they would have been watching him his whole life. Well, they knew he got taken. They've probably seen it happen. So when he crossed back into the United States, they nabbed his ass. He is probably the first real military abduction. They brought him in. So there's things that proves this. One of the things he talks about, he's driving his car. A lot of the car goes off. He gets out his car. Four men dressed in black shoes, black pants, black shirts, and black duckbill hats walked out of the spaceship, went down, grabbed him by his arms, and walked him and Betty back to the craft, up a set of stairs. I have never heard about any abductees being taken upstairs before. That's a first. That was the first time, first and only time. I've never heard it in any other cases, just that case.
And you've interviewed thousands of
so,
people.
And so Betty says there was swinging doors like old hospital metal doors used to be with the windows in them. She described that.
That's pretty primitive.
Yeah, she's described pull-down maps, pull-out drawers, books, paperback and hardback books. She's describing the CDC is what she's describing. So they got taken. They took fluid and skin samples and blood samples with razors and needles. That is not alien abduction technology. Yeah. That is human technology.
That is. Yeah.
So what happened to them is they got mill-labbed in the United States, but instead of what's her name, Kathleen Muldrin, instead of admitting to this because she had already wrote a book saying something else, they got themselves in a bind because the evidence suggests that the abduction happened in Canada and the military abduction happened in the United States. You're fighting something that you can't win because the evidence goes in that direction. You can make up whatever story.
Would disagree with you.
Well, because she changed the story. She said that there were, first off, she didn't say they were pulled down maps. She said there were screens like the kind of screens we look at. Well, that's not alien screens. They don't have that either. That's not their technology. Their technology is embedded in the walls, and it's a flush thing. It has no tubes or screens, or it's not how it works. So you could tell even Kathleen didn't have the imagination to take it to the next level because she's not a contactee. And if Betty would have been a contactee, Kathleen would be a contactee.
Okay, the opinions expressed by our guests are not those of this network or the host, but unfortunately, Joe is the network. So send all the emails to Joe Montaldo.
No, send them to Miss Roche.
I've interviewed her, so I know,
yes,
you're going to have a lot of
emails. And if y'all want to know the argument, so I see at the iCar1.com site, there is the discussion between myself and Kathleen Muldrin and all of this. The whole letter,
I gotta listen to that.
All the rebuts and everything are on the site. You can go read the whole thing. What she said, what I said, and you can see the difference. And she struggled to try to make stuff up. Like she said, "Oh, well, the dress had stains on it." You're telling me you had a 45-year-old dress analyzed? Them stains could have came from anywhere. That's bullshit. And then she tried to tell me, "Oh, we found the constellation." No, you didn't, because you don't have the point of origin. You can't find a constellation without the point of origin. And she said many times, they didn't have the point of origin. They don't know where they came from. So there's no way to track them back without point of origin.
Yeah,
so that was another lie.
With that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and then the things they found in the back of the car. Okay, you're telling me you still got that same car from that abduction? That's a lie. They don't. And what she described was magnetic marks. There were round things that pulled on it and pulled the paint off. That's what a magnet does if it sticks to your car. That's not alien technology. That is human technology. It sounds like they dropped these things in the car and it shorted the car out because by their own words, the car didn't restart. They had to take it to a mechanic. Well, when an alien does it, when they're done with it, your car restarts and goes on its merry way. So she kept talking about this, and you don't have to believe me, ladies and gentlemen. You can find Betty and Barney Hill's interviews in the 70s. They're still available online, and she says this in her own words.
They're on YouTube, yeah.
After Barney died, she changed her story. And
do you think it was out of fear, maybe?
No, it wasn't out of fear. She wanted the publicity. That's who Betty was. She always wanted. She's the one who wanted to go to the White House. She's the one who wanted to do all of this.
Again, the
Barney
opinions
did not.
For our guests are not ours.
Barney did not. Barney said this. Y'all go listen to him yourself. He said this on television. Yeah. He said this in his hypnosis. He did not want to be involved with this. He wanted Betty to quit, and she wouldn't. He was hostile about this. And she wanted the fame. He did not want anything to do with this. Maybe she was
being pressured by something or someone.
No, I think she just wanted the fame. I don't think it's because she wasn't a contactee. I think she wanted that admiration that Barney got.
Really?
Yes. And she's not the only one. There's a lot of people. You would be surprised how many people lie about being abducted or taken. You would really be surprised.
I want no part of it.
So we've got the people who have sexual assaults in their family. So a lot of times that will manifest as an abduction. So when you do the hypnosis, of course, it's not what it is. And comes out in the hypnosis that's not what it is.
Mhm.
And there are other things that happens in people's lives that they would rather think an alien took them than admit to what really happened to them.
Yeah. Like
Mm.
you wouldn't see bite marks
Yes.
with ET
So think about
abductions,
this,
right?
and in this case, we're talking about the samples came from Barney, not from Betty. They didn't take fluid samples and scrapings from Betty, only from Barney. That tells
Mhm.
you all you need to know right there. They already knew she wasn't the contactee. They knew he was. And that's how you know it was the government and not the aliens.
So do you think all these stories that you hear about all of these physical examinations and really horrific things, do you think this is my lab, or do you think this is actually extraterrestrials that would do this?
Okay. You can tell the difference. One, the government's hypnosis techniques are not near as good as the aliens' techniques. And the
Mhm.
way they conduct experiments and all or regular technologies that you would be familiar with.
Mhm.
When you're on board the ship, you're not familiar with the technologies. Most stuff is voice activated on the ships. So when you walk into your room, this is a perfect example. So on one of the big ships, they give you a room. You walk into your room. When you walk into your room, it's a cube. There's nothing else in it. So what you start thinking, you want a bed. The bed comes out and appears. You want a sink. The sink comes out. The dresser comes out. TV comes out. Whatever it is you're thinking about comes out, is now available to you. Computer access comes out. So the ship configures to your thought. It's really cool technology. And those are different. You can tell the difference. And the alien technologies work different than ours. There's no wires. There's no switches. There's no plugs. It's all vastly different technology than ours.
Okay.
So it's not
Scary.
that hard to know the difference between them. It's just for the non-technical people is when it causes trouble, because they don't actually understand what they're seeing or what they're involved with. And mill labs, I would say, if I had to put a number on this, I mean, out of the 112,000 cases available, probably 10 or 12% are military. And the
Mm.
reason why is because those people have come forward. So if you don't come forward and you're not like Barney, who's been in a shrink and they know it, they'll never find you.
Mm.
They'll never know
Okay.
you've been taken. There's no military, and it's worse than that. If you're an abductee or contactee that does come forward, but you don't have any experiences, like you haven't been on board the ship, or you haven't worked the engines, or you haven't drove, you haven't navigated, they're not interested in you. They're not going to take you. You don't have anything in their head worth taking. But people who have experienced this, that's who they're after. Anybody who understands the alien agendas, operation of the ships, interaction with other extraterrestrials, they want to talk to those people. That's who they want to talk to. The
Mm.
everyday person who's just been taken and doesn't really remember anything because they couldn't handle it, they're not interested in them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not interested. But the other people they're interested in. They was probing Michelle the other night. I was laughing my
I'm
ass
putting
off.
my hand up like I'm in class.
I think I just looked through the bird, thinking out loud. Yeah. Yeah,
Is
whatever.
there
It was not intentional. It just like happened.
It happens. It's
Do-
life,
Damn
man.
it.
Shit happens.
do
I'm live.
abductees have a cutoff time, a cutoff date, a retirement age?
Some do.
Okay.
So
Is
let's
this by
say
ET, or is this something, an agreement that you make with
no,
them?
it's just ET. So when you become non-useful for them,
Non-useful. I was trying to find a kinder
so
way to put it,
usually
but
this
more
is going to be
gentle.
somewhere in your early 30s. So what happens is, one, you're still showing fear. You're still scared of them. You're not trying to work with them. You're not trying to understand anything. So what they do is they just stop abducting you, but they will keep taking your children.
Mm.
So this is what pisses off a lot of contactees and abductees. They're still taking your kids even when they're not taking you. But if you're like Dolly or other people we talk to on the shows who are interested in speaking about them, even if it's not 100% correct, they want you out there. They want you helping the ordinary people understand that there is something going on. And the more credible you are, the more they want you out there speaking.
Really?
Because
That I
or
didn't
help
realize.
with helping with the, so they got the communicators, the speakers, and the keepers. The keepers sometimes speak but for the most part, keepers work with the people on board the ships just to help them out. When somebody's panicking, they'll come hold their hand. They'll go play with the kids. They'll talk to someone who's whatever's going on with them. That's what they're there for. The aliens realized that they were doing psychological harm to us, which is not what they were intended to do. That's why they have
Okay.
keepers now. So the kids, for some reason, just aren't scared of them. You can go on board. I can't even tell you. I've lost count of how many people told me this. They'll go on board and they'll see a group of the kids. Oh, my bug-eyed friends, my reptilian friends. They're all playing and enjoying this. So sometimes they're playing with other reptilian kids or human kids. As far as I know, they don't play with the gray kids, but they're interacting and they're not scared of the aliens. The aliens give them technology to play with and to use and do stuff. But when puberty hits and all the way up till about 30, that's when all the bad shit happens. It doesn't matter who you are, everything is bad. It doesn't matter where you are an abductee, how advanced you are. Those 10 years or 12 or 14 years, that's when they're going to do the nasty stuff. And they're going to block 99.9% of that out because most humans cannot handle what just happened to them. Things like removing body parts, removing eyes, removing other stuff, putting them back together, testing your physical and mental abilities. Humans aren't good with that. So they just block it out. And that's why when people ask me, can you regress me to those? Yeah, I can bring you back there and you can experience what happened, but you're not going to be happy. So why do it?
So most of the information that you've received comes from people who've gone under hypnosis. And ICAR has how many members that have come forward with?
We got
this information?
112,000 cases on file today.
Right.
That's 40 years worth of investigations. And before anybody asks, no, I did not investigate 112,000 cases. Out of those, probably, to be realistic, probably about 15,000 I've actually been through. I've either read
So
or.
can you give a little bit for those that don't know you about your military career? Can you put that out there, please?
Yes, I was in
Thank
the
you.
U.S. Navy aboard the USS Nimitz. Yes, Old Salty is what she goes by. She's in retirement now, so as far as I know, she's not out there blowing shit up anymore. But I was Advanced Avionics, Advanced Electronics, Advanced Aircraft Recognition. That's what I did on a Nimitz. So if it was yes, avionics people. So as far as I know, I'm the only ufologist in the field that actually has degrees relevant to the field. Advanced avionics. If you're going to study UFOs, you got to at least understand how they fly, how things work. Advanced avionics, advanced electronics lets me know how things work, how I understand how things work in the air, and the avionics also helps with that. And then aircraft recognition immediately allows me to disprove something. Yeah, I can say, well, no, I know that from my training, but it's better than that, ladies and gentlemen, because of the Navy is one of the reasons I got interested in this. When I went in the Navy, I wasn't interested in this. I said, this is a bunch of hooey. Even though I've been like 12 different people told me they had been abducted, I still was like, it was like hooey. But while I was in the service, I kept meeting pilots and people on board the ship that were having experiences, and pilots were talking about losing time coming back to the carrier. Some of the people in the conning tower were saying we would lose planes for 3 or 4 hours, and all of a sudden they would be back flying still with the same amount of fuel. We were like, what the hell? And they disencouraged you to report it. They didn't like you reporting this. They already knew it was happening. They didn't want you to report it. They have radar technician, the whole tower, seeing what had happened. There's no reason for the pilots. Now it's a little different. They've gotten a little different about it now. But back then, they had just gotten tired of all the cases. So if you want to be a real ufologist, not an abduction researcher, but a real ufologist, first thing I would tell you is go out and buy you a Kodak 400 instant film camera, one that is encased. So you need to keep your digital camera. You need to have a digital video camera. It'd be nice if you had an analog camera. So, and the reason why is, so the 400, you're taking pictures of this weird thing in the sky with this enclosed case. It's sealed, and then you're taking it with your digital. So you have excellent clear pictures with your digital. So, but you've got the 400 Kodak. So one, it proves right there you didn't hoax this because it's locked into the camera. So you can take this to your local development store and video record them developing the film. So that means there's no hanky panky with the film. So, so if you're hoaxing this, that means you hoax this in the air, not on the not through the camera.
You can't fudge a negative until it hits the
computer.
That's right.
So once you've got the grayscale, the negatives, you can tell if anything's been changed. So, but the reason you can't do this with digital has much better pictures. But the problem with digital is I can go like see Bob back there. I can take a picture of Bob sitting right there. Then I can take this weird graphic and put it like it's in a spaceship and put it on my computer, load that in there, install that in there, take that and download it to my phone and give it to somebody. As far as they know, that's exactly what they see, what's in that phone. There's no way to tell if you've screwed with it.
No, but it shows imprints every time it's saved. There's a number on it. I learned that through the herd.
Yes, but you can do away with that. You can do away with all of that.
Not forensically. Forensically, they can find numbers. If you save a photo to, say, Facebook, and then you save it to StreamYard, and then you save it to
see, that's not
whatever,
how you do it.
The numbers. No, I'm saying if people are doing this, what they don't realize is
you can't do it. So let me explain how if you really want to do this, I shouldn't even be telling people how to do this.
Then
so you take a picture. All right. It's better if you do it with a camera than with a phone, because your phone actually does have a record value on it, but your camera does not.
No.
And if you've got a camera, is it out here? none of your business out here. Yeah, there it is right there. Hold on, let me move these fear books out.
Even in the paranormal, this applies also to paranormal
So
if you're doing
if
investigations,
you're using
haunted,
this
anything.
particular model Canon right here, and I upload this to the internet, there's no correlating numbers with the film whatsoever. Well, not with the film, but with the digital at all. So I can put it on there
Thank
and
you,
I can
Chris.
upload. I can take
Yeah.
another picture that I've taken with this, upload it into there, put them together, and then
Thank you.
download it to my phone. All you get is a picture that looks like it was taken by your phone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you really want to, if it's an Apple especially, you can go in and change the coding of the coding of the image underneath, and actually change the date so it looked like it was taken on a
Yeah,
particular
but let
day.
me tell you something. Apple does record that. Just saying. They record
Apple
it by law.
thinks
They
they
have
do.
to. By law, they have to record it. At least here.
Mhm.
The best way to go, whether it's UFO, UAP, paranormal, ghosts,
Hey, Mars.
anything, always go to film. And I
Well-
love the whole, what Michelle always says, use a Polaroid camera because nothing can interfere with that.
No, same with
So,
recording
and they're
devices. Do it on tape, get a
big.
negative. Just
They're
still
hu-
can't be fudged.
Yeah.
We're at the top of the hour. We're
Yeah, we
past
got
the
a couple
top.
minutes though because we started late. But
So we're with the
it's
network owner.
that's right. We started
All
late
right,
anyway.
whatever.
So, all right.
Yeah, but like
We
they're
gonna let you go,
they're big
Sicky.
right
Just hold
now.
on.
The Polaroid's big right now, and they came back with their retro 70s style. So
Yeah,
Polaroid, if
and
you're
and
listening,
instant film's not
send
bad, but
us some
it's still
love.
not Kodak 400 or 800.
Send
though.
us some love, Kodak.
So if you can get your hands hold, it's harder to get hold of these instant cameras than it used to. But if you can get hold of the 400 or the 800, that's high speed.
Those are
Film.
hard to get a hold of. There's
Yeah,
more.
you can get them online, people. You have to order them. You can't. You
I
used
think
to
you
be
have
able
to
to go to
order
a
it
store
from.
and buy them.
You
Yeah,
probably could order it straight from them, right?
yeah.
Because
Every
the
now and
ones
then I
that
see
are
them in a drugstore, but not often.
no, because the ones that are on sale are the ones for like wedding tables and functions and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
You
so
can.
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if you could find a
well, you can
400
get
if
them,
you're
but I
traveling
mean,
through an airport.
but with these, it's high speed film, and you can even get a
Yeah,
night shot set up for
800's
it.
the best.
Yeah, 800 is the best if you can get it. It's much faster, but with
Yeah.
these in digital makes it almost impossible to hoax
I
anything.
used to shoot an 800 film all the
Yeah.
time. That was the best for night.
So I always keep
Yeah.
one or two of those in my glove box because I never know what I'm going to see. Because I do take stuff with my phone and my camera, but I would anytime I get something good, first thing I reach for is the camera because I want to get a picture on that camera. And sometimes
Yeah.
I'll let that reel sit there. It might sit in there for a year or two before it actually gets developed. But when you do it that way, so you're taking
Just
out
keep it in the fridge.
one step of hoaxing. So
Yeah.
when someone says, "Well, you took it on your phone, maybe it's fake." Well, no, I took it on this high speed film. It's not fake, and you can look at the negatives for yourself. So that rules it. So what that tells you is that kind of hoaxing is not going to happen. Now, if you want to go set up a dummy thing out in the air and take pictures, but if you're using real good Kodak film, this is a difference. Digital will help you see this, but if you got grayscale pixelation, you can actually see it better. And so you can see if somebody's been screwing around, setting up things they shouldn't. And of course, when you're using your video in both high and analog and digital, it also helps you. So these are things when you present this, okay, it was taken in both. So automatically people are not going to think the picture was fake. So you've got that. And now the other part is upload airport monitor to your phone or to your computer. Upload JTrack as well. So what these two do is, so airport monitor tracks planes in the United States and in Canada and in Mexico in real time.
Mhm.
So you can go back up to 1 year and see what they tell you the flight number, where the flight's coming from, where the flight's going, even if it's military. They might tell you that it's classified, but they will still tell you where this flight took off from and where it's headed. So if I take a picture of something in the sky, say in Gulfport, and I look on JTrack, there's no satellites there. I'm like, well, it's not a satellite. And I go to airport monitor. The airport monitor's not there. Oh, well, wait a minute now. I got something because, here you go. There's no ships. There's no planes. There's no anomalies if the weather's good. And learn things like what the cloud deck is on the day you took the picture. So a couple of mine have been on sci-fi, and it's one of the reasons they've been on sci-fi. So one particular shot I took of this weird thing out in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, I knew the cloud deck that day was 5,000 feet. This thing was sitting in the middle. So it means it was at 2,500 feet. It was also at the horizon, which is 9.5 miles on this particular day, which means this thing was huge. For me to be able to see it with the naked eye at 9.5 miles, it was at least the size of an aircraft carrier, if not bigger. And it had been floating over that thing for at least 20 minutes. So you're thinking, Jesus, what the hell is that? We don't have anything that big that can stay up in the sky. We just don't.
No.
Even the originals aren't that big.
Mhm.
So I'm like, so now you can rule out the airport, and then if that's not enough for you, do like I do. Call your local airport, call your local military, and see, have y'all got anything on radar? Call them live time because they'll tell you, oh no, we don't. Well, we've got something we're filming right now at such and such, and they'll even check and see, and they'll tell you, well, no, we're not seeing anything. So you can automatically rule out any kind of aircraft or any kind of natural anomalies like that. So it doesn't leave much but ET.
Mhm.
It just helps. It doesn't prove conclusively that you filmed an extraterrestrial craft, but if you've eliminated everything else but the extraterrestrial craft, it's a good shot. That's what you just got.
Mhm.
And always
Mm.
try to get stuff like beaches in it, or poles or lines, anything that can
For
help you
reference
judge
point.
height and distance. Yeah, you just anything that can get in there that can help you to figure this out. You want to do.
It's almost like forensic photography with police. They always look for suspects near doorways or near so that they can gauge height and weight and size, like mass. It's the same kind of thing. If you take a picture of something up close, it's going to look massive, but if you take it at a distance, it's going to look smaller. So you have to have it near something so you have perspective.
Yeah, so you have perspective.
Yeah, perspective.
And my analog, my high 8 has a 80 times zoom plus a 30, so it's 122 zoom on it. I mean, you can really, and when we zoomed in on this particular thing, you see it in the video. It's on my JoJo Mon 63 account on YouTube, by the way. When we zoomed in on this thing, it was huge, and it's
I have
split.
beautiful zoom lenses.
It's so like split. I mean, we've got several things up there on the Alien Enigma site, which is alienenigmasite.org is a site I put up 22 years ago. For the fact is something that happened to Linda and I, so I put the whole thing on a site because if I ever decided to come out about it and talk about it later on in my life, I didn't want people saying, "Oh, he's just jumping on the abduction bandwagon, or he's just jumping on the UFO bandwagon." Well, no, this was actually up before we founded ICAR. So no, it had nothing to do with that. It was just I just put it up there because I knew sooner or later someone was going to try to call me out and say you're just doing this because this, that, or the other reason. And so we keep it still there. The site's going to be there forever, and it's there for that one reason, just to show some of Linda's artworks on there, what the grays look like and stuff like that. She's got one with all these aliens in it, and then you see my two chihuahuas in the middle. I'm not sure if they were getting probed or not, but they were there.
On the probing. So
anyway, let me pull my email up right quick.
okay.
Now,
Oh,
whoever
you're
gets
announcing
this-
it now.
Yeah, so whoever gets this, I'm going to send a copy of this along with it.
Ooh, pull it back
Okay.
so we can see it. Pull it back just a
pull it
bit.
back.
So I'm not
Okay,
looking
that's
at
a
the
good
camera.
one. I've
Uncovered
actually
fear.
read that one. That's a great one.
So
Yeah.
let's see. Oh, damn, I got all man. We got Jesus people. How many people wrote into this? Lord have mercy. Let's
Now
see.
Joe has to count to 30. Can you do that? You need some help.
I can count way past that, baby. I got money in it. Anybody money learns. That's what my mom told me one time. She said, "Yeah, you didn't want to learn how to count, so we just started giving you money. You learn like." Okay, whoa, a bunch of y'all got this right, man. So let's see who the winner is.
Who's number 30?
That's what we're looking for. So Dean Harrison won. Where are you from, Dean? Oh, wait a minute. Do you live up there by Laura Lee? And then where's Saskatchewan at? What the hell is
No,
Saskatchewan?
Oh no, she's
West.
Ontario, Saskatchewan. You should know that. You were taken out in Saskatchewan.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I seen it. It made me nervous.
Yeah.
Well, the
he's
reason I'm
west
saying
of
is
us.
so
Two
no,
provinces west.
Dean, we'll
Three.
get it sent out to you. Make sure that it's correct. Well, no, Saskatchewan's a funny thing because every now and then on my cell phone, not just my Apple, but on several of my cell phone, it will show me in Saskatchewan at 5,000 feet.
Right.
Yeah, Saskatchewan is by
Sounds
BC.
like a
Congratulations, Dean Harrison or Dean Harris.
Dean, hold on, let me go back.
Dean Harris or Harrison?
Hold on, let me see. Harrison, not Harris.
Dean Harrison,
Ah,
congratulations.
And yes, you got all of them right, and I'm glad. Whoops, my email just flipped out. But I will send over your contact information over to my boy over there, and he will probably have it out. Now, people, if you're listening tonight, when you get these things, feel free to take a picture and send us the picture back. I'll post it up on one of the websites or on one of Facebook's or something.
We'll show it on
We'll show
it on the show.
Your children with it or something.
Yeah, do a Folgers commercial with it. And we'll
Oh my
play it on the
gosh,
show.
right?
Great idea.
So all of these lightsabers come with fighting blades, real blades, so you can actually fight with them. You can go, you can go to like the saber clubs and go fighting with them. They won't break and they won't crack.
Right.
So if you get the real one, so in the beginning, they have a glass tube on them. Them damn things will break.
Did you see
Somebody's
Wayne?
trying to like.
AKA Wayne
Somebody
from
try to get a
Niagara Falls.
freebie.
Somebody's trying to get one.
Somebody try to get a freebie, huh?
Did you write
So-
in at number 30, Mr. Mallows?
That's right. So y'all know this,
And
ladies and
Joe's got
gentlemen.
that
It's,
rule that knows us, that anyone that knows us can't
yes,
win.
unfortunately, it's not my rule; it's their rule.
Yeah.
I agree with it. That's why I told
It's,
everybody they couldn't.
So, well, a good friend of mine writes to me yesterday. What can I do it? I said, no, you're a friend of mine. Can my sister do it? I said, no, because she's a friend of yours. She's like, come on, how about her daughter? Can she do it? I said,
Missing
maybe you
the
shouldn't
point,
tell
man.
me.
You're missing
I
the
said,
point.
since they don't have the same name, maybe you shouldn't tell me and just let them try. And she's like, oh, yeah, I guess so. I'm like, yeah, if you tell me, then I'm going to know who it is. You're absolutely not going to get it.
I'm just so happy we have a giveaway. It's so exciting. I'm
Yes,
happy
And
for
y'all will get a copy of the book, and we're going to be giving away. I'm going to make the girls give y'all some books out in a couple of weeks, too. We've got, like these three are going out. I'm giving away. Hold on. Damn it. I've given away 100 of these so far.
You'd never know he owned the network, though.
I know.
I know. I've given away 100 sets of these is what I should do. So what is this one? Is this 36? So y'all have seen these before. This is book 36. It's an anthology. Writers of the Future. This is the one they book 36. There's 12 stories in there.
Thank you.
And then there is 37 with that hot mama in front of it. It's got 12 stories in it as well. And then this one, well, those two covers go together actually for the gala event. So when you see a cover, so when you see these covers, there's actually a gala that goes with these covers. So this is 38.
That
This is
one I've
lad. This
seen.
is the previous winners. This 12. There's some really good. There's some really good stories in there.
Emily took a
And,
picture in front of that walrus. Walrus.
Yeah,
What is it?
yeah.
Not walrus.
a-
oh my
mammoth.
god.
Mammoth.
It's a
Mammoth.
She's also got a
I
picture
need
with.
sleep.
She's also. Have y'all seen her where Turley's got her by the head?
Yeah.
From,
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a,
John sent us all those photos.
Yeah, they have a life-size picture of one of the ones from Battlefield Earth, and it's got Emily by the head. He goes to all the conferences with him. Well, at least the ones out in L.A. Well, no, he was in Atlanta too.
Joe, we're like 15 minutes over.
Yeah, we're
not
getting
gonna
ready
be
to get
able
out of here.
fit
We
with
got
our-
to go. Michelle's got to go to bed, and I got to get
I'm
something
going to
to eat.
sign us all off right
And
now.
I got to put
so-
archives up tomorrow for tonight too. So.
Big thank you to Joe for joining us this evening.
We love
I
you,
know.
Jojo.
It was a lot of fun, Big thank you to
times.
Folgers for sponsoring the show.
Thank you
Huge
for the
thank
coffee
you
tonight, Folger.
to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Sticker, the sonic
Thank you,
surgeon.
Dr. Smith.
Cold coffee.
When you're all done, just let me know. And
I just cold coffee. I couldn't help myself. I was
I
taking
know,
a
gonna
mouthful.
kill
I
us
know.
all
Whenever,
with this
whenever
staring.
you're
Oh,
done,
nice
I'll
seeing
just
you,
step
baby.
in and
Don't
close
look
the
her
show.
directly in the eyes.
Okay. So please feel free to contact us at the outerrealmcontact@gmail.com or head on over to our Facebook group page, click the email button, reach us that way. I'm going to be a harpy. Let's get those Folgers commercials out. It's nice and easy. Do it with your camera phone. Talk about Folgers. Represent yourself, represent your group, your company, whatever you want, as long as Folgers is mentioned in it. No more than about, let's say, 40 seconds if possible. But if you go closer to a minute, that's okay too. So next week, please tune in for the very first time, Wednesday evening. We welcome Priscilla Rosado Cruz, who's going to be, she's actually going to be doing spirit coaching, astrology, and versing us on what this all entails. It'll be a lot of fun. So tune in for that. Thursday night welcomes the return of Barry Fitzgerald and Brian Allen, who are going to be picking up where they left off with their amazing book. And I went on and on about this book, The Deception of Gods and Men, which was just fabulous. So tomorrow night, tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern for the Church of Mavis, and tune back in at 10 p.m. Eastern, which would be 9 Central, for the Centralist, where you'll hear Joe really harp about
Oh yes, I'm going to have
politics and
a new host with me on. I gotta say this now. You should never mention that now. Tomorrow night I will have a new host with me. Emily will be on. Emily Min's house. I think that's how you say her name. She'll be joining me tomorrow night along with Jay. No, Michael is no longer with us, so you won't see him there, but you will see us over there. So come by and stop by and see what kind of trouble we get into tomorrow night.
Keeping it clean. That's all I got to say. Station manager. That's the score I have to be. Let me tell you what. So everybody, good night. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody in chat, really appreciate you guys participating. It just makes
Great
the show
questions.
that much better. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Everybody behave. Don't get sick. Don't kiss babies because this is what happens.